TSK. This isn't working. I have to try something else. Should I discuss it with my dad? But wouldn't that make me look too useless? Yulingxue walked down the road with her head down, seemingly deep in thought. But it was clear she was worried. Her anxiety was written all over her face. She wasn't watching where she was going and nearly bumped into things several times before she remembered to turn. Slap. Just then, a hand suddenly landed on her shoulder. She shot her head up, her pupils contracting violently. A look of terror appeared on her face. She had let someone touch her completely off guard. Had her mindlessness reached such a point? So careless. Without time to think, she spun around in the next second, trying to grab the person's wrist. No matter who it was, since they had grabbed her shoulder so casually, she had the right to fight back. Pin them down first and ask questions later. But the moment she turned and reached out, the other person seemed prepared. They used their other hand to seize her wrist. Their body lunged forward, feet shifting, a shoulder pushing, and she instantly lost her balance. Bang! In an instant, she was pinned against the wall. Yulingshue's eyes widened in terror, and her heart couldn't help but tremble. Because the light was dim, she hadn't gotten a clear look at the person behind her before they had her completely under control. Was this a master? Sure, don't be afraid. At that moment, she heard a somewhat familiar voice. The next second, something was suddenly stuffed in her mouth. She tasted sweetness. It seemed to be a lollipop. The streetlight illuminated the face of the person before her, and she gradually saw them clearly. Tangji, is that you? Yulingxue froze for a moment, thinking she had seen wrong. She had imagined the person behind her to be a thug or a robber, but she never expected it to be her classmate. Her own classmate had just subdued her like this? A female classmate at that? Was this even logical? It's me. Don't worry, I mean no harm, Tangji said slowly, gradually releasing her grip on Yulingxue. Yulingxue was still shaken, gasping for breath a few times, a hint of vigilance now in her eyes. She really hadn't expected this. She had been wary of Zhou Heng, wary of Yin Mingran, but she had never paid any attention to Tang Ji. And it turned out this Tang Ji seemed to be the most volatile element of all. What are you doing out so late? You scare me. I thought you were a bad guy just now. Please don't mind it. Yulingxue forced a smile, trying her best to appear friendly, hoping Tang Ji wouldn't see through her. Oh, Tang Ji clasped her hands behind her back and began to pace back and forth in front of Yulingxue. Lifting her chin, she asked coolly, I was about to ask you the same thing. What are you doing out so late? Also, can you explain to me what commercial competition means? Tang Ji locked her gaze on Yulingxue's eyes. As she spoke, Yulingxue's whole body trembled, her pupils constricting uncontrollably. What are you talking about? I don't understand. Yulingxue's smile became a bit stiff as she continued to feign composure, but the hand hidden behind her back was trembling slightly. This is a competition of interests. To put it more seriously, it's commercial competition. So what if it's despicable? Anyway, I live next door to him. Proximity gives me the advantage. You just wait to lose your chance. Tang Ji took out her phone and played a recording. It was Yulingxue's conversation with Bai Tsong, crystal clear. Yulingxue's mind went blank with a roar, and a chill shot up her spine. Only 2 words echoed in her head now. I'm finished. I wonder what would happen if I let Zhou Heng listen to this. What do you think? Tang Ji casually spun her phone with her fingers before putting it in her pocket, looking at Yulingxue with a smile that seemed to hide a knife, sending a shiver down Yulingxue's spine. Gulp. Yulingxue's throat moved as if it were dry. She now felt that the Tang Ji in front of her was a bit terrifying. With this level of intelligence, it seemed no explanation or cover-up would work. Moreover, her fighting skills seemed to be on par with her own. If she tried to use force, her chances of winning were probably not high. Was this really an ordinary high school student? Before coming here, she had thoroughly investigated Zhou Heng and his girlfriend Yin Mingran. So how did such a terrifying factor suddenly appear? What exactly do you want? If you're just curious, then I advise you not to get involved. This isn't something you can participate in. Yulingxue's brows furrowed slightly, her expression turning grave, and her tone became heavy. She was trying to be serious to make Tang Ji back down. After all, she was just a high school student. Although they were about the same age, their life experiences were worlds apart. Oh, not something I can participate in? I see. Tang Ji smiled, then slowly approached Yulingxue. The smile on her face was malicious, making even Yulingxue feel a little unsure of herself. Do you know what my relationship with Zhou Heng is? You didn't investigate that. Aren't you just his deskmate? Yulingxue swallowed, her mind racing, trying to recall if she had ever investigated her. At the time, there had indeed been information saying that Zhou Hong and Tang Ji had a good relationship, often hung out together, and were desk mates, but she hadn't paid it any mind. She felt it wasn't important. It was impossible for her to investigate all of Zhou Heng's classmates, right? That was too unrealistic. So she had only investigated the most important person, Zhou Heng's girlfriend, Yin Gran. I am his desk mate, but I also call him Gidge. Guess what my relationship with him is? Yu Lingshue's heart trembled. She stammered, Gidge? You're his little sister. A meaningful smile hung on Tang Ji's face. She raised an eyebrow and said slowly, you got it. So, Zhou Heng's father is my uncle. Yu Lingshue's slender eyebrows shot up. She sucked in a sharp breath, almost fainting with her eyes wide open. This. Tang Ji took out her phone, shook it, and said, all right, now do you think I have a right to know? Either you tell me right now, or I'll give this recording to Zhou Heng tomorrow. Whatever your intentions are, don't even think about succeeding. I understand. I'll tell you, but you have to promise not to tell anyone else. Yu Lingxue finally spoke slowly after some thought. She took the lollipop out of her mouth, cold sweat beading on her forehead. If she had known, she would have investigated Tang Ji. She never thought she'd have a background like this. A miscalculation. But perhaps this was also an opportunity to use Tang Ji to eliminate the threat of Baizong. Tang Ji nodded and stared at Yu Lingxue, waiting for her to speak. Tang Ji knew this matter was definitely not that simple. What Yu Lingxue was about to say might be extremely shocking, and she had already braced herself so as not to show any surprise. Well, I'm the daughter of Vice President Yu. You should know him, right? One of the vice presidents, VP Yu. Since the chairman is your uncle, you should know him. There's already internal news that Zhou Heng is the heir, and because the company strictly forbids using connections, even though I'm a vice president's daughter, it's very difficult to get in. Tang Ji listened quietly to Yu Lingxue, her face expressionless, but her mind was being hit by one blow after another. Gulp, you continue. Tang Ji's throat moved. Now, it was her turn to feign composure, trying to make her brain accept all of this. Yu Lingxue didn't notice Tang Ji's state. With her head down, she sighed and continued, but as the heir, Zhou Heng can bring one person with him. This person can become his secretary, a position second only to one and above tens of thousands. Even if I worked hard my whole life, I could never climb to that position. So, my father sent me to Zhou Heng's side, hoping I could build a good relationship with him and have a chance to enter the company directly. Even Tang Ji's was tinged with a slight tremor. In reality, she was already deeply shaken. She could tell that Yu Lingxue was intentionally getting close to Zhou Heng and Yin Gran, but she didn't know the specific reason. And then she saw that video today, so she secretly followed Yu Lingxue tonight, wanting to get to the bottom of it. And this investigation really uncovered something major. This Yu Lingxue indeed had no ill intentions and was a good person, but her purpose for approaching Zhou Heng and his friends was not simple. So that Baizong is the same as you. Yes, he's the son of President Bai. Like my father, he's a vice president. His goal is the same as mine, to get on good terms with Zhou Heng and then smoothly enter the company. Calling it commercial competition is a bit of an exaggeration. It's just a competition of interests between him and me. Yu Lingxue nodded, answering honestly. Then she suddenly thought of something, her eyes widening as she looked at Tang Ji and said, right? I'll tell you his secret, and you can tell Zhou Heng, okay? He definitely won't believe anything I say now, but he will definitely believe you. I'm not doing it for anything else, just to get back at that guy. Well, go ahead. Tang Ji wasn't particularly interested in Baizong's motives, but of course, the more bargaining chips she had, the better. They might come in handy later. That guy is... Yu Lingxue glanced around, then held out her hand and slowly bent it. Bent? This. Tang Ji's mouth twitched, and she was truly stunned for a moment. Even her eyelids were trembling. When she was spying, she had also caught a glimpse of that Baizong. He was quite good-looking. She never thought he'd be into men. After telling Zhou Heng about this, it would indeed make Zhou Heng keep his distance from him. If he kept him around, any move he made towards Zhou Heng would frighten him. It's true. I even have photos on my phone. I'll send them to you. Oh, no. That's okay. Thank you. I don't want to see them. Tang Ji quickly waved her hands in refusal. However, at this moment, she knew she had grasped many secrets and had leverage over both Yu Lingxue and Baizong. It could be said that she completely had the upper hand. So, I've told you everything. Can you please not tell Zhou Heng? Help me keep it a secret. If Zhou Heng finds out and tells his father, then Yu Lingshue's face was bitter as she pleaded with Tang Ji, her eyes showing genuine fear. She couldn't believe how useless she was. On just her second day here, her plan had been exposed. It was all Baitsang's fault. If he hadn't caused trouble, she wouldn't have made a mistake. If this got out, in the worst-case scenario, her father's position would probably be unstable. Tang Ji curved her lips into a smile, staring at Yu Lingxue for a moment before slowly speaking. Of course. I'm very tight-lipped, especially with such an important secret. I'll definitely help you keep it. Don't worry. However, Tang Ji's expression shifted to a mischievous grin as she continued. My benefits won't be lacking, right? Of course. Of course. Yu Lingxue nodded repeatedly. Whatever Tang Ji asked for now, as long as she could do it, she definitely would. Okay, then I'll be going now. Then, Tang Ji nodded in satisfaction, clasped her hands behind her back, and leisurely walked away. Watching Tang Ji's departing figure, Yu Lingxue couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief, grateful that she had finally resolved this fatal crisis. She had thought that this time, she would have to disappoint her father. After walking a good distance, Tang Ji looked back to make sure her surroundings were safe. Then, she took out her phone and dialed a number. Hello? Hello? Tang Ji? Is something urgent? Why are you calling me? On the other end of the line, Zhou Heng's confused voice came through. He was a bit puzzled as to why Tang Ji was calling him directly. He couldn't remember her ever calling him before, because Tang Ji wouldn't have anything so urgent that she'd need to call him. Hello? Gidge? Ahem. Zhou Heng, you still can't get online tonight, right? How about I go online and play for you? Oh, you're willing to play for me? That would be great, of course. If I don't get online to do the quest soon, I'll probably get kicked out of the guild. Okay, how about this? Isn't there a piece of equipment you've always wanted? I'll go grind for it for you. Holy crap. Really? You're not kidding me, are you? Of course not. Anyway, I have nothing better to do. How about it? Okay, thank you so much. I'll treat you to a meal another day. It's nothing, it's nothing. Given our relationship, this is a small matter. Zhou Yaoan came out of her bedroom in the middle of the night to get a glass of water, but she saw that the light in Tang Ji's room was still on. It was already past 2 in the morning. Could Tang Ji still be awake? Zhou Yaoan walked over and knocked on Tang Ji's door. Knock, knock, Tang Ji. You're still not asleep? I'll be asleep soon. From inside the room came Tang Ji's slightly weary voice. As a mother, Zhou Yaoan could naturally hear it. She couldn't help but frown and say, What time is it? Why aren't you sleeping? Don't you have an exam tomorrow? All right, just give me 10 more minutes. I'll definitely get the drop in 10 minutes. Zhou Yaoan's expression soured. She said to the room, TSK, all day it's games, games. Can you eat games for a living? If you keep being so obsessed, you'll starve to death in the future. Don't worry, Mom. I know my limits. If this goes smoothly, I won't have to worry about starving in the future. Sai, I don't get you. Just go to sleep in 10 minutes. And don't get involved in any gambling online. You hear me? I hear you. Zhou Yaoan shook her head helplessly and turned to go back. She couldn't really say much to Tang Ji, because the girl truly always knew what she was doing and could handle everything without being told. At that moment, Tang Ji was still sitting in front of the computer, using Zhou Heng's account, grinding for the equipment over and over again. She knew it was already very late. If she couldn't get it to drop now, she would have to continue tomorrow. Tang Ji yawned. After the last unsuccessful attempt, she turned off the computer and prepared to go to bed. She knew this matter didn't need to be rushed. In terms of advantages, she should be ahead of the others, as long as no accidents occurred. No, she wouldn't allow any accidents. In her entire life, all the accidents had happened because of Zhou Heng. Apart from that, no one else could bring her any surprises. The next morning, Tang Ji woke up with her alarm after only a few hours of sleep. Zhou Yaoan had thought that after staying up so late, she definitely wouldn't be able to get up. But it turned out she woke up even earlier than usual. Breakfast will be ready soon, Zhou Yaoan said to Tang Ji, who had just finished washing up. But then she saw her roll up her sleeves and walk straight into the kitchen. What are you doing? Preparing lunch. Starting today, I'm going to bring my own lunch too, Tang Ji said faintly, then proceeded to take out ingredients and start washing and chopping on her own. Bring your own lunch? What's with the sudden whim to bring your own lunch? Is the food at school not good? Zhou Yaoan was a little puzzled, not understanding why Tang Ji suddenly had the idea to bring her own lunch. But what puzzled her even more was that she didn't even know Tang Ji could cook. Tap, tap, tap. Tang Ji's knife skills were exceptionally smooth and perfect. She chopped vegetables without any hesitation. You know how to cook? When did you learn? I never learned, but I watch often. I just imitate. Tang Ji shrugged, replying flatly. It was then that Zhou Yalan realized Tang Ji was perfectly imitating her knife skills. Even the way she held the knife was identical to hers. She was already used to this kind of talent from Tang Ji. Indeed, for her, imitation was a very simple matter. What do you want to eat? I'll help you make it. Zhou Yalan wanted to help Tang Ji cook. Even if Tang Ji could imitate the knife work, cooking was not just about imitation. One wrong move, and it could be ruined. Tang Ji knew she might be a bit lacking in the cooking department, so she agreed to let her mother help. She said, "I'll eat anything. Just make the dishes that Zhou Hong and Yin Mingran like. That way I can share with them when I get to school." Zhou Yalan paused for a moment, then nodded after a few seconds and said, "I see. Okay, I know what Zhou Hong likes to eat, and little Mingran mentioned what she likes last time. I'll make it." By the time Zhou Yalan was done cooking, there was still about 20 minutes before Tang Ji had to leave for school. But Tang Ji had already packed her things and was ready to go. "Are you going to find Zhou Hong and the others to go to school together?" "Yep." "Oh, be careful on the way." Zhou Yalan watched Tang Ji enter the elevator and leave, her expression a little dazed, her brows slightly furrowed, as if she were thinking about something. After leaving her home, Tang Ji headed straight for Zhou Heng's house. The journey wasn't long, and Tang Ji walked quite fast, so she arrived at Zhou Heng's doorstep in about 10 minutes. She raised her hand, just about to knock, when the door next to them opened. Tang Ji turned her head and met the eyes of Yu Lingxue, who had just walked out. Tang Ji's brow immediately furrowed, while Yu Lingxue looked extremely embarrassed. The incident yesterday morning, where Yu Lingxue and Zhou Heng's group left at the same time, was no coincidence. It was Yu Lingxue who had gotten ready early and waited by the door. When she heard the door next to her open, she walked out with the simple goal of saying hello. But after yesterday's events, she didn't dare to have too much contact with Zhou Hong for now. She needed to take it slow, so she had prepared to leave a bit earlier to avoid running into them and being misunderstood. As a result, she didn't run into Zhou Hong and his friends, but instead, she ran into the person she wanted to see the least right now. Good morning." Yu Lingxue raised her hand and greeted Tang Ji, looking particularly unnatural. Tang Ji nodded, her gaze shifting downwards, and noticed that Yu Lingxue was also carrying a lunchbox. Tang Ji narrowed her eyes, staring at Yu Lingxue's lunch. Yu Lingxue sensed Tang Ji's gaze and hid the lunchbox behind her back. I'm heading to school first." Yu Lingxue walked out the door and started to move forward slowly, trying to pass by Tang Ji and leave quickly. But when she got next to Tang Ji suddenly reached out and grabbed her arm, startling her. "Don't be in such a hurry to leave. We're classmates. Let's walk together, shall we?" Tang Ji looked at Yu Lingxue, a faint smile on her face. Although on the surface, it didn't look like much, in Yu Lingxue's eyes, this smile seemed a bit malicious. At this very moment, downstairs, someone had been standing there for a long time, hiding around a corner, as if waiting for something. Bai Cong peeked at the entrance of the building, muttering to himself, "Hey, what a coincidence. So you live here?" "TSK, no. Is that a bit too familiar? It should feel more like strangers, right?" "You're that Zhou Hong, right? We met yesterday." "Hiss, that's not right either. How can I make a natural entrance?" Click. A moment later, the door to Zhou Heng's home opened. Zhou Hong and Yin Mingran walked out, only to be startled by the two people standing at the door. "What the? Tang Ji, what are you doing here?" Zhou Hong couldn't help but blurt out. He then looked to the side, and when he saw that the person next to Tang Ji was actually Yu Lingxue, his brow furrowed tightly. Yu Lingxue kept her head down, not daring to look at Zhou Heng's face. She felt like a mute person who had eaten a bitter gourd. She had a grievance, but couldn't voice it. "Why are you two together?" Zhou Hong asked Tang Ji, because he saw Tang Ji holding Yu Lingxue's wrist. "Well, we're all classmates, so it's fine to walk together." Tang Ji blinked, as if she were sending a signal to Zhou Hong and Yin Mingran. The three of them had a good rapport, and Zhou Hong and Yin Mingran understood Tang Ji's meaning in an instant and nodded. "Ah, yeah, that's true," Zhou Hong said softly. Although he didn't know what Tang Ji meant, he trusted her and believed it wouldn't be a mistake. At that moment, Yu Lingxue felt her heart instantly warmed by Tang Ji. She looked at Tang Ji's profile, her eyes filled with gratitude. She never thought that Tang Ji would not only keep her secret, but even help her, helping her get close to Zhou Heng's group again. Could it be that in Tang Ji's heart, she was considered decent? "So why did you come over?" "I woke up pretty early, so I just came by to find you guys." "Woke up early?" "Oh." Zhou Hong didn't doubt Tang Ji's words and went downstairs with the two of them. When the four of them walked out of the building, Yu Lingxue's whole body trembled, as if she felt a gaze that she found extremely repulsive. Crap. He actually came. Xue muttered, her eyes quickly scanning the surroundings. Finally, she spotted a figure around the corner. Before anyone else noticed, Xue's gaze locked onto that spot. A person walked out from there. It was Bai Tsong. The moment Bai Tsong walked out, he saw Xue next to Zhou Hong. Their eyes met, and both of them instantly frowned, as if they were looking at an enemy. Tang Ji noticed Xue's gaze and looked over, seeing the slowly approaching Bai Tsong. However, Bai Tsong didn't even spare Tang Ji a glance. In his eyes, Zhou Hong was the main target, followed by his girlfriend, In Mingran. After all, pleasing his girlfriend was key to pleasing Zhou Hong. After that, there was his sworn enemy, Xue. As for Tang Ji, he had no intention of paying her any mind at all. She was just an outsider. Hey, Zhou Hong. Bai Tsong walked over and called out softly. Zhou Hong heard the voice, turned his head, and was stunned for a moment when he saw Bai Tsong. He wondered why he would appear here. He even remembered his name. They had only added each other as friends yesterday, right? And didn't he have a grudge against Xue? So why was he approaching when Xue was right here? You're that Bai Tsong from class 1. We met yesterday. Bai Tsong nodded and gave Zhou Hong a small smile. It was a very simple and normal gesture, but in Tang Ji's eyes, it seemed to have a different flavor, because she knew Bai Tsong's secret. Hearing that he was, seeing him make these expressions and gestures towards Zhou Hong was frankly a bit nauseating. But she also knew what Bai Tsong's goal was. It looked like a chance encounter, but he had probably been waiting here for a long time. Don't you think there are a lot of people walking to school together today? Yeah. Zhou Hong and In Mingran walked in the middle, with the other 3 standing beside them. It was the first time so many of them had walked to school together. It made them feel a bit awkward, even holding hands, as if they were being watched. Hey, do you guys take this road to school every day? Me too. Is that so? Our class president is good friends with you, right? I heard him say you two have a great relationship. We're pretty close. Bai Tsong kept talking next to Zhou Hong. Every sentence seemed like casual chat, but it was as if they were carefully prepared lines. Xue stood to the side, gritting her teeth in frustration. Normally, she should be the one chatting with Zhou Hong and his friends, but now, thanks to Bai Tsong, she couldn't get close to them for the time being. All she could do now was watch from the side, seething. Just then, Tang Ji suddenly nudged Xue with her elbow and said in a low voice, "You go pull him away." Can I? Xue looked up at Tang Ji in surprise. Why not? Didn't you have a great time beating him up last night? Zhou Hong is probably getting annoyed by now. If you pull him away, you might even leave a good impression on Zhou Hong. Really? Okay. Xue nodded, agreeing with Tang Ji's words. She then walked straight towards Bai Tsong and grabbed his arm with one hand. What are you doing? Bai Tsong was now almost conditioned. The moment Xue touched him, he would jump, his body trembling involuntarily. Can you not bother people? Do you even care if they want to talk to you right now? You're so annoying. Xue frowned and berated him, then forcibly pulled Bai Tsong away. Hey, what's it to you? You're not going to bully me, are you? Are you going to hit me? Bai Tsong was still shouting. When he said the word bully, he deliberately raised his voice. However, Zhou Hong and the others didn't seem to care what Bai Tsong was shouting. They exchanged a glance, a little surprised that Xue would step up and pull Bai Tsong away. To be honest, they did find Bai Tsong a bit annoying. It was early in the morning, and they had an exam to get to at school. Zhou Hong was mentally reviewing formulas, and this Bai Tsong was right there disturbing him, chattering nonstop. Xue's action made Zhou Hong and In Mingran's opinion of her improve slightly. Xue dragged Bai Tsong away, leaving only Tang Ji with Zhou Hong and In Mingran. Tang Ji suddenly spoke up and asked, "By the way, do you want to go to Dongji University this weekend? We can check it out. And didn't you say you have a relative studying there?" "Yeah, this weekend." Zhou Hong looked at In Mingran next to him, wanting to ask for her opinion. He himself was fine with whatever. In Mingran nodded repeatedly and said, Okay, we can go find Sister Shunlini. We've already chatted a lot on our phones, and she even invited us to visit. At lunchtime, Xue sat in her seat, a meticulously prepared lunch in front of her. But she was in no mood to eat. She kept her head down, pursing her lips, looking very conflicted. This was because she was sitting here all alone at noon. In Mingran had already gone over to Zhou Heng's group to eat and hadn't called her over, and she felt too embarrassed to go. Her lunch was also filled with things that Zhou Hong and In Mingran liked, based on her research, as a way to curry favor. But now, she didn't dare to walk over, nor did she dare to offer them the food. They would probably think she had ill intentions. Sigh. Maybe I'm just not cut out for this. Maybe I should just give up. Yiling Xue opened her lunchbox, preparing to eat it all by herself. At this time, Zhou Heng, Yin Mingran, and Tang Ji weren't ignoring Yiling Xue. It was just that Zhou Heng and Yin Mingran were unsure about her situation. Tang Ji glanced at Yiling Xue and said to the other two, "She's not a bad person, but that overly enthusiastic act is definitely put on." Why would she do that? Well, faced with Zhou Heng's question, Tang Ji hesitated for a moment, as if she had thought of many things in those few seconds. Maybe she's in a new environment and doesn't want to be isolated. That's why she's in a hurry to make friends. As for that video, there might be a misunderstanding. After all, seeing isn't always believing these days. Zhou Heng frowned in confusion and looked at Tang Ji, asking, "You seem to be saying a lot of good things about her today. Did you take some kind of bribe from her?" "Not at all. I just did a little research." Tang Ji smiled, and Zhou Heng didn't ask any more questions. If he didn't believe Yiling Xue, could he not believe Tang Ji? Since Tang Ji had said so, he was reassured. "Then let's call her over to eat with us. She looks so pitiful over there." Zhou Heng looked at Yin Mingran and said softly. Yin Mingran nodded, then stood up, ready to go call Yiling Xue over to eat with them. Just as she left her seat and was about to reach Yiling Xue, a figure suddenly blocked her way, stopping her. Yin Mingran frowned, looking at the person in front of her with a displeased expression. The person before her was once her best friend in high school, but in the end, they had fallen to the point of cutting off ties. "Tong Yining, what are you doing?" Yin Mingran asked faintly. Tong Yining, however, first glanced secretly towards Yiling Xue. Seeing that she wasn't looking up, she whispered to Yin Mingran, "I have something to tell you. Let's step outside." "Can't you just say it here?" Yin Mingran's brow furrowed slightly. She hadn't spoken to Tong Yining in a long time. For her to suddenly want to talk to her in private, she definitely needed to be vigilant. "I just want to give you a friendly reminder about something, because recently you might be in a bit of danger." "Oh." Tong Yining's words made Yin Mingran's frown deepen. She did feel that something was a bit strange lately, but she couldn't quite put her finger on it. It just felt like there was some undercurrent of events happening around her that she was unaware of. "Then wait for me a moment." Yin Mingran responded softly, then walked past Tong Yining and over to Yiling Xue's side. Seeing Yin Mingran walk over, Tong Yining bit her lip, a worried expression on her face. "Hey!" Yin Mingran patted Yiling Xue on the shoulder and called out to her. Yiling Xue looked up, and when she saw Yin Mingran, her pupils visibly dilated, and her mouth fell slightly open in an expression of disbelief. She really hadn't expected Yin Mingran to come looking for her today, especially after they had seen that video yesterday. "Come eat with us, okay? It's more fun to eat with more people." Yin Mingran smiled, instantly warming Yiling Xue's heart. The warm midday sun shone through the sheer curtains, illuminating Yin Mingran's face. Paired with that smile, for a moment, Yiling Xue felt as if she were seeing an angel of gentleness. "Can I?" "Of course you can. You go over first. I need to step out for a bit." Yin Mingran gently patted Yiling Xue's back, then turned around and glanced at Tong Yining, her expression becoming serious. The two of them left the classroom together, while Yiling Xue also stood up, took her lunch, and cautiously walked over to Zhou Heng's group. Where's Yin Mingran?" Tang Ji looked up but only saw Yiling Xue walking over alone. She asked with confusion. Zhou Heng immediately stood up, his face grave. The moment his body shot up, it scared Yiling Xue into taking a step back, nearly dropping the lunch in her hands. She just said she was stepping out for a bit and told me to come over first." Yiling Xue answered in a small voice, looking very unconfident. She didn't even dare to look Zhou Heng in the eye and could only look at Tang Ji, since Tang Ji knew her situation and might be able to help her. "All right, you sit down first. She probably went to the restroom. She'll be back soon. What could happen to her at school?" Tang Ji quickly gestured for Zhou Heng to sit down and pointed to the empty seat in front of them, motioning for Yiling Xue to sit as well. Hearing Tang Ji's words, Zhou Heng slowly sat down, and Yiling Xue also sat down cautiously, as if afraid of doing something wrong. Because when Zhou Heng stood up just now for a split second, she was actually scared. Scared of Zhou Heng himself. In that one instant, the man had exuded an aura that terrified her. Meanwhile, Yin Mingran had already arrived at the stairwell with Tong Yining. This place had become their usual spot for private conversations. Teachers rarely passed by, so it was relatively safe. "What do you want to talk about?" "Is it about Zhou Heng?" Yin Mingran stared at Tong Yining in front of her, not knowing what she wanted. Although Tong Yining had never directly confessed to liking Zhou Heng, Yin Mingran wasn't an idiot. She could tell. Later on, She had completely stopped caring about Tong Yining and felt that she had probably given up. Now, she was a little worried again that Tong Yining was going to say something about Zhou Heng, who knew that Tong Yining would shake her head without hesitation, looking at Yin Mingran seriously and saying, I want to talk about that Yu Lingxue. She's strange. Very strange. She looks like she's trying her best to get on good terms with you, but I can tell that her real target is Zhou Heng. Zhou Heng? How is that possible? What does she want? Yin Mingran was slightly stunned at first, then, as if without much thought, a worried expression appeared on her face. Because whether it was true or not, just hearing that someone was after Zhou Heng made her heart tremble involuntarily. She could only sense that Yu Lingxue was getting close to her, but she hadn't sensed any interest in Zhou Heng from her. After all, she was doing a good job of avoiding suspicion. Tong Yining blinked and glanced to the side, as if afraid someone was eavesdropping. I don't know either, but I've been observing her for the past 2 days, and I can be sure she's after Zhou Heng. How are you so sure? Well, a sixth sense, I guess. Tong Yining was at a loss for words, her brain nearly crashing from Yimingran's question. She couldn't very well say that seeing Yu Lingxue this way reminded her of how she herself used to be. She knew exactly what she had been thinking back then. Seemingly the least interested, not even letting her gaze drift towards him, but intentionally or unintentionally appearing by his side. She was a new student who didn't know anyone, so out of the 20-plus boys in the class, why did she just happen to get involved with Zhou Heng? All right, but why are you telling me this? Tong Yining stammered, I just don't want her to succeed. It's not that I have anything against her, it's just, I simply want you and Zhou Heng to be happy. Yin Mingran stared into Tong Yining's eyes without saying a word, but her gaze seemed to be speaking. A moment later, Yin Mingran finally spoke softly, I understand. Thank you for telling me. I'll be careful. After speaking, she turned and left. Tong Yining looked as if she wanted to say something more, reaching out her hand, but stopped in midair and slowly lowered. She seemed at a loss for words, a hint of loneliness in her eyes. A long time ago, she would never have dreamed that she and her best friend would end up in a relationship that couldn't even be called friendship. Perhaps no matter what she said or did, it couldn't be salvaged. High school was about to end, and perhaps this friendship could never be rekindled. Yin Mingran returned to the classroom and saw that Yu Lingxue was already sitting there, but she seemed to not dare to look at Zhou Heng at all. If what Tong Yining said was true, then Yu Lingxue should be trying to get close to Zhou Heng when she wasn't looking, right? With this thought in mind, Yin Mingran didn't rush out, but instead hid by the door, peeking at them, trying to find evidence. But she waited for a long time and saw no action from Yu Lingxue. On the contrary, she felt that Yu Lingxue seemed very cautious and scared. Zhou Heng clicked his tongue, slapped the table, and stood up directly, saying TSK, I'll go find her. This action made Yu Lingxue jump, and although it wasn't very obvious, Yin Mingran, who was watching her closely, saw it. Yin Mingran frowned slightly. She found it puzzling. Normally, even if one was startled by a table slap, the reaction wouldn't be like this. This seemed more like she was afraid Zhou Heng would suddenly hit her. Strange, Yin Mingran muttered. Just then, Zhou Heng also walked over, nearly bumping into her. Hey, babe, what are you doing here? Where did you go just now? Zhou Heng asked with some concern. Before Yin Mingran could answer, Tong Yining happened to walk back. Seeing Tong Yining, Zhou Heng's brows furrowed tightly. An idea popped into his head. He suspected that Yin Mingran had been called out by Tong Yining. Seeing Zhou Heng's expression, Tong Yining was slightly taken aback, then lowered her head and walked straight into the classroom without a word. It's nothing, let's go back. Yin Mingran took Zhou Heng's hand and they walked back together. At this moment, both of them had some doubts in their hearts, but they didn't voice them. Yin Mingran sat back at her seat and glanced at Yu Lingxue next to her. Yu Lingxue happened to look up at her at the same time. After their eyes met, Yu Lingxue quickly looked away. What are you afraid of? Yin Mingran couldn't help but ask. This state was completely different from yesterday. It was too strange. Yu Lingxue poked at her rice with her chopsticks, her lips pursed, looking troubled. Plus, with Zhou Heng and Tang Ji both looking at her now, so many pairs of eyes made her even more nervous. It's not that I'm afraid. It's just, I'm worried. Worried that you'll be afraid of me, because I know you saw that video yesterday. Yu Lingxue stammered, her voice getting quieter and quieter. Seeing that she didn't seem to be acting, Tang Ji spoke up. If there's a misunderstanding, you can explain it. We don't know the whole story. Will you? Believe me? Just say it, Zhou Heng said softly. Subsequently, Yu Lingxue told him the truth about the video. The person she had taught a lesson to in the video was the real bully, who had been bullying many students. Those students had all gone to Yu Lingxue for help because even the bully didn't dare to mess with her, knowing she was not to be trifled with. Yu Lingxue's heart had softened, and seeing so many people begging for help, she had stepped in. The bully was expelled, and she was punished accordingly for fighting, but she became a hero in the eyes of many. When Zhou Heng and Yin Minggran heard this, they didn't react much, seemingly not surprised. Zhou Heng even nodded and said in a calm tone, "Got it. Do you believe me?" Tang Ji said from the side, "We do. You have no reason to lie to us, right?" Because she knew the truth. She knew Yu Lingxue wasn't lying. Yu Lingxue nodded repeatedly, vowing, "MHM, it's absolutely true. I'm not lying to you. I have no reason to lie to you. Unless..." Just then, Yin Minggran, who was beside them, slowly spoke up. Yu Lingxue turned to look at her and found Yin Minggran staring at her, her eyes slightly narrowed. "I'm saying if you were lying, it would have to be because you want to protect your image in a certain person's heart." Yu Lingxue was stunned for a second before shaking her head repeatedly. "No, I'm really not lying." She was telling the truth, so her expression and eyes showed no signs of deceit. After looking at her, Yin Minggran nodded and said no more. After school, Zhou Heng and Yin Minggran went home first, not giving anyone else a chance to find them. So many people had followed them to school in the morning. They were afraid the same would happen in the evening, which would be really uncomfortable. At night, before going to sleep, the two lay in bed. Zhou Heng leaned against the headboard, while Yin Minggran rested in his arms. They snuggled under the covers, enjoying the cozy and private space that belonged only to them. Yin Minggran looked up at Zhou Heng's profile and saw him engrossed in his game. Normally, she wouldn't want to disturb him at a time like this, but something had been weighing on her mind, and she felt uneasy. If she didn't say it, she definitely wouldn't be able to sleep tonight. "Honey, what's up?" As soon as Zhou Heng heard Yin Minggran call him, he immediately put down his phone and looked at her, ready to listen. Yin Minggran lowered her head and gently traced circles on Zhou Heng's chest with a finger, whispering, I wanted to ask, what do you think of that Yu Lingxue?" "Huh? Me? I don't really have any thoughts about her, and I haven't really looked at her much. I probably don't even remember what her face looks like." Zhou Heng stammered, his mind racing, as if he were afraid of saying the wrong thing. Although his emotional intelligence had grown a lot, he was still a bit flustered when faced with such a survival test question. "Then do you feel you've had a lot of contact with her these past 2 days? How many words have you said to her? When I went out at noon today, did you two say anything?" Yin Minggran fired off several questions in a row, leaving Zhou Heng stunned and momentarily speechless. It was the first time he had heard Yin Minggran be so concerned about another girl, but he really hadn't had any contact or conversation with that Yu Lingxue. So Yin Minggran, could this be a sign of strong possessiveness? Although Zhou Heng didn't show it, joy was already bubbling up inside him. His girlfriend being possessive was definitely a good thing. It meant she cared about him. Zhou Heng reached out, hugged Yin Minggran, and whispered in her ear, "I swear, I haven't had any contact with her at all, and I've barely said anything to her. Don't worry, and I won't have anything to do with her in the future." Hearing Zhou Heng's words, Yin Minggran's worries vanished in an instant. She wrapped her arms around Zhou Heng's neck, her head pressed tightly against his chest, and said softly, "MHM, I know." They hugged for a long time before Zhou Heng suddenly remembered that the weekend was almost here. "By the way, didn't we agree to go to Dongji University this weekend? Should we let Shinlini know?" "Okay, let's go find her. She'll definitely be happy. She should still be awake at this time. I'll let her know." Yin Minggran happily took out her phone, ready to message Shunlini. A little while later, Yin Minggran was chatting with Shunlini on her phone, a smile on her face. Zhou Heng watched Yin Minggran, feeling particularly impressed. She had actually managed to slowly bring Shunlini out of her shell. Even his own aunt had called to personally thank Yin Minggran. "Okay," she agreed. "We'll just go find her when we get there, and she'll hang out with us." "MHM, okay. I'll ask Liao Haomiao and the others. Maybe they'll come along too." Yin Minggran nodded repeatedly, saying happily, Okay. I haven't seen Zhu Tao in a long time either. It's going to be so lively." After getting her response, Zhou Heng went to ask Liao Haomiao. A little later, he got a reply from them. Normally, he and Zhu Tao wouldn't go out, but a trip to Dongji University would be a good chance to check out the campus and help with their future college applications, so they agreed. 2 days later, the weekend arrived. Zhou Heng and Yin Minggran woke up early and started getting ready. Usually, Tang Ji would have repeatedly reminded them the night before to wake up early, to the point that they had gotten used to it. But for some reason, Tang Ji hadn't reminded them this time. Zhou Heng came out of the bathroom and saw Yin Min Gran standing in front of the mirror, holding up a jacket. He recognized the jacket, but he had never seen Yin Min Gran wear it before. What made you decide to wear this one? Zhou Heng walked over and hugged Yin Min Gran from behind, asking softly. Yin Min Gran smiled and showed Zhou Heng a photo on her phone. It was a photo from Shun Lini sharing her outfit for the day. The clothes she was wearing were similar in style to the ones Yin Min Gran was holding. Oh, you want to wear similar clothes to hers? You're always so attentive to details. Zhou Heng gently tapped Yin Min Gran's nose and praised her, which made her break into a sweet smile. All right, let's hurry. I just asked Tang Ji, and she's already on her way here. Okay. The two of them sped up, and Tang Ji arrived at their home 2 minutes later. This time, she didn't rush them either, just sat to the side and waited quietly for them. After the three of them left the house, they prepared to meet up with Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao. Click! The moment the three of them got into the elevator and went down, the door to Zhou Heng's neighbor opened. Yu Lingxue poked her head out, cautiously looked around to make sure no one was there, then opened the door and came out. She took the elevator down to the first floor, as if she were going to follow Zhou Heng and his group. Just as she walked out the door and reached the street corner, a voice suddenly came from behind her. Hey, Yu Lingxue jumped in fright. She turned around and saw that the person standing behind her was, of course, Baitsong. What the hell? What are you doing? Are you looking for a death wish? Baitsong frowned, crossed his arms, and said, I was about to ask you the same thing. What are you up to? Tailing someone? It's none of your business. I'm just out for a walk. Then, what are you doing here? I bet you're the one tailing someone. Baitsong snorted, lifted his chin, and gave a crooked smile, nodding emphatically. Of course I am. Crap. To admit it so shamelessly. You really have no face. Tao. Ran. The moment Yin Min Gran and Zhu Tao saw each other, they immediately opened their arms, ran over, and gave each other a big hug. The two of them hadn't seen each other in a long time. The last time was before the new year, and nearly 2 months had passed in a flash. Liao Haomiao, on the other hand, walked over to Zhou Heng and Tang Ji's group, smiled slightly, and asked, why the sudden idea to visit Dongji University? Are you guys thinking of applying there? Tang Ji nodded and replied, yeah, it's the family's wish. Anyway, there's no harm in taking a look. That's true. That's why we came along to see what the school environment is like. The group chatted as they got on the subway, heading towards Dongji University. The three girls sat there chatting, while Zhou Heng and Liao Haomiao stood in front of them. Hey, that Baitsong, what's his deal anyway? Do you know him? Why do I get the feeling he knew you before? Liao Haomiao suddenly brought up this question, looking at Zhou Heng. Zhou Heng thought for a moment, then shook his head and said, I don't know. I don't know him, and I don't know what he wants. It's so random. Really? But he seems to be trying to get close to you from time to time. Every time class ends, he's never in the classroom. He's either loitering in the bathroom or wandering around your classroom. I don't know, who cares? He's a guy. It's not like I'm afraid of him. As long as he doesn't have a crush on me, it's fine. Pfft. The moment Zhou Heng's words fell, Tang Ji suddenly covered her mouth and burst out laughing. Everyone else was stunned for a moment and looked at her, seeing her laughing so hard she was bent over. Zhou Heng's brow twitched. Since when did your sense of humor get so bad? Ha ha ha. No, you don't get my sense of humor. You might find out in the future. Ha ha ha. Tang Ji laughed until she couldn't catch her breath, tears even forming at the corners of her eyes before she slowly stopped. Zhou Heng's mouth twitched, and he muttered, You've been pretty strange lately, too. At this time, 2 train cars away, Yu Lingxue and Baitsong were there, with the same destination as Zhou Heng's group. After all, they were here to follow them. It was highly likely they would gain nothing all day, but if an opportunity for them to make an appearance arose, like helping out with something, that would definitely score major brownie points. So even if it meant sneakily following them all day, they were willing. TSK, why is our class president here, too? This just got even harder. In Baitsong's hand was a pair of binoculars. Using binoculars on the subway successfully earned him strange looks from those around him. Are you sick? Using binoculars to spy on the subway? I'm impressed you can actually see anything. Yu Lingxue stood to the side, looking speechless. It was hard to imagine that her competitor was this kind of person. It really lowered her own status. You don't know anything. Know yourself and know your enemy, and you will win 100 battles. Do you think this tailing is just to find an opportunity? Of course, it's also to gather more information. Baitsong sneered, thinking Yu Lingxue was just jealous that he was making more progress than her. Yu Lingxue was also extremely speechless, so she said no more and moved far away from him, afraid that others would think they knew each other. Hey, that Tang Ji girl. Why is she following them everywhere? Are they that close? Bai Tsong muttered, staring at the people through his binoculars. He was trying to observe Zhou Heng and Yiming Ran, but this Tang Ji kept blocking his view, which was very annoying. Just then, he saw Tang Ji turn her head, as if her eyes met his through the binoculars. The next second, Tang Ji directly raised a middle finger. She flicked it once, then put it down and turned her head away. Huh. Bai Tsong lowered his binoculars, his eyes wide with shock, looking completely horrified. What was that just now? Was that middle finger for him? How could that be? He was 2 cars away from them, and he was looking at them with binoculars. How could she possibly have seen him? Absolutely impossible. A coincidence? No way. What reason would she have to suddenly flip the bird in this direction? Bai Tsong couldn't figure it out, his mind a blank. At this moment, Yu Lingxue was sitting there, playing on her phone, when a message suddenly popped up. Seeing this message, Yu Lingxue was so scared she almost dropped her phone. It was actually from Tang Ji. She had added Tang Ji as a friend, but they had never chatted, and she didn't dare to proactively message Tang Ji. In her heart now, if Zhou Heng was the second most terrifying person, then Tang Ji was the most terrifying. You and that guy are following us, right? Is he using binoculars or something to spy on us? Gulp, Yu Lingxue swallowed, cold sweat forming on her forehead, and a chill shot up her spine. She really knows. Yu Lingxue's biggest fear in coming out to follow them today was being discovered by Tang Ji. It felt like nothing could be hidden from her eyes. She never expected to have been discovered long ago, and that even Bai Tsong's spying was known. How? Did you know? Yu Lingxue couldn't contain her curiosity and sent a message to ask. Tang Ji's reply came back quickly. Guessed. Guessed? MHM, I just had to reason it out using your way of thinking. Seeing your reaction, I must have guessed right. It's fine. It's normal to guess wrong, too. I'm not a god. Crap. You're already a god. Okay. You figured it out, just like that? Was it that easy to guess? Yu Lingxue's eyes widened, her mouth agape, in disbelief. She thought it was normal for Tang Ji to guess that she and Bai Tsong would follow them, since Tang Ji knew their purpose. But to guess that Bai Tsong was spying was a bit too much. But then again, it made sense. If it were her, she would probably also think that Bai Tsong would spy because that's just the kind of person he is. I understand. Yu Lingxue replied obediently to Tang Ji, then turned off her phone and looked at the astonished Bai Tsong standing there and began to think. Right now, Bai Tsong still didn't know Tang Ji's true identity, nor how terrifying she was. She definitely couldn't compete with Tang Ji, so was there a way for her to use Tang Ji to eliminate the threat of Bai Tsong? First, she definitely had to make Bai Tsong and Tang Ji enemies, right? Yu Lingxue looked at Bai Tsong and said, Ahem, hey, come over here. I have something to tell you. Bai Tsong came to his senses, walked over to Yu Lingxue, and asked, Huh? What? Do you know who our biggest obstacle is right now? Who? Obstacle? Hey, wait, I think I know who. Bai Tsong and Yu Lingxue looked at each other, their brows furrowed, and then said in unison, Tang Ji. The group arrived at Dongju University. As a very famous university, its campus was quite large. The campus was also very lively, with many people coming and going, mostly young people. The group strolled along a small path, taking in the campus environment. Yiming Gran walked at the back, on her phone, contacting Shunlini. Zhou Heng slowed his pace, came to Yiming Ran's side, and asked, How is it? Did you tell her? Where should we meet her? She said, for us to just walk around first. Her counselor has something for her to do, and she'll come find us in a bit. Okay. Zhou Heng took Yiming Ran's hand, and like the other couples on campus, they enjoyed their walk. Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao were the same. They hadn't seen each in a long time, and now that they had finally met, they wanted to stick together constantly. It was as if, compared to touring the school, they cared more about each other. Look at her. She's a loner again. I really don't know why she came to be a third wheel. In the distance, Bai Tsong was still holding his binoculars, spying on the group ahead, seeing the other 2 couples holding hands and being very intimate, while only Tang Ji was alone, fiddling with her phone, looking quite lonely. They're good friends. They don't care about these things. Let me see. Yu Lingxue snatched the binoculars from Bai Tsong's hand and stared ahead for a while. She wasn't as foolish as Bai Tsong. She knew Tang Ji's identity, but she would never tell Bai Tsong. The most important thing now was to make Bai Tsong and Tang Ji become enemies. I'm telling you, if Tang Ji is around, it will be hard for you to get close to Zhou Heng. She will definitely try to stop you in every way possible. After all, when I was in class, Tang Ji often blocked me. Yu Lingxue put down the binoculars, handed them back to Bai Tsong, and made up a lie. The purpose was to sow discord and turn Bai Tsong's target to Tang Ji, not herself. Bai Tsong frowned slightly, rubbing his chin, and muttered, "Teeth, what should I do then? I need to make her consciously stay out of the way. Coercion or inducement? Which do you think is better?" Huh? I don't know, you figure it out. Anyway, I don't think inducement will be very useful. Who can guarantee she'll listen? Don't you think? Makes sense. A fierce glint flashed in Bai Tsong's eyes. He nodded and muttered, "Then it seems I'll have to scare her a bit." Yu Lingxue glared at him and said, "Hey, don't blow things out of proportion. If you do anything illegal, I'll definitely tell your father. Don't worry, I'm just going to scare her a little. I'm not some gangster." Bai Tsong waved his hand and said faintly. Yu Lingxue said this, but in reality, she was secretly hoping he would blow things up. It had nothing to do with her anyway and would only benefit her, with absolutely no downsides. "Why did you come today? Why can't you just give up? She's the campus belle, after all. You don't stand a chance." Bullshit. At that moment, Yu Lingxue and Bai Tsong heard the voices of two young men behind them. The voices were quite loud. At least in a public place like this, shouting so loudly was really uncivilized. The two of them turned around, frowning, and saw two young men, both smoking, walking forward. From their appearance, they didn't look like students at all, more like idlers from society. But they weren't old, looking only a few years older than them. At least they could be sure that these two were definitely not students of Dongji University. The two young men passed by them, and as they did, they turned back to glance at Yu Lingxue. That look made Yu Lingxue's whole body tremble slightly, and she felt extremely disgusted. Their eyes were filled with a lecherous smile. If not for the law, she really wished she could go over and poke their eyes out. "Hey, look ahead. There are several beauties. Holy crap. Where?" At that moment, the two young men seemed to have discovered a new continent. Their eyes instantly lit up, staring at Min Gran and the others ahead. "Damn, these ones are top quality. Are they from Dongji University too? How come we never noticed them before? But don't they have boyfriends? There's still one who's single. Let's go check out her face. Maybe we can get her contact info or something." The two young men pushed each other, walking towards Zhou Heng's group. Although they saw that only Tang Ji was single, they didn't seem to be giving up on the other two girls. Instead, their eyes kept wandering over the three of them with that very disgusting gaze. At this moment, Yu Lingxue and Bai Tsong exchanged a look, a slow smile spreading across their lips. "Oh, looks like an opportunity has come." Their eyes also lit up. Wasn't this the kind of opportunity they had been following them for? "I don't care. I'm making the first move." Bai Tsong limbered up his wrists and was about to rush up to stop the two men, but he was pulled back by Yu Lingxue after taking just one step. She said in a low voice, "No. Are you crazy? Nothing has happened yet. Why are you going over now?" Bai Tsong clicked his tongue and muttered, "Tih, but we must ensure Zhou Heng's safety. We have to anticipate danger and take care of everything for him. Get out of the way. Does Zhou Heng even need your protection? With your physique, even 5 of you wouldn't be a match for him." TCH, the two young men slowed their pace, planning to walk past the group and then casually glance back. They walked forward, attracting the attention of Zhou Heng's group, but they didn't pay them much mind. The next second, one of the men looked back first. He had intended to pretend he wasn't looking at them, but after seeing the 3 girls' faces, his eyes instantly widened. Holy crap. Absolutely gorgeous. Bro, drop-dead gorgeous, as pretty as that campus belle. Really? The other young man, hearing this, also eagerly turned his head. He first glanced at Tang Ji, then looked at Zhu Tao and Min Gran. In the end, his gaze locked onto Min Gran's face, and his steps suddenly stopped. "Hey, what are you doing?" His friend suddenly panicked, not knowing why he had stopped. He tried to pull him away, but he didn't move an inch, just stared straight at Min Gran. Zhou Heng also noticed the young man, and his brow instantly furrowed. The young man raised his hand, pointed at Min Gran, and asked loudly, Are you Min Gran? Holy crap. Pan Sure. You know her? Really? The other guy immediately grabbed the shoulder of the young man named Pan Sure and exclaimed in a low voice, looking extremely excited, his eyes almost red. After all, his good buddy knew such a beauty, and he hadn't known? Who could stand that? Zhou Heng and the others were also stunned. They stood there, their hearts suddenly lurching. Zhou Heng turned to look at Min Gran, who, after a brief moment of being dazed, lowered her head and replied faintly, "No, you're mistaken." Min Gran's answer made Zhou Heng and the others even more confused. Why deny it? Did that mean she didn't know this young man? Pan Sure was slightly taken aback, then let out a snort of laughter. I understand your feelings about not wanting to admit it, but you don't have to be so heartless, do you? We could be considered half family after all, right? Pa, who's family with you? Shameless. This sentence seemed to instantly ignite Min. She lifted her head and cursed, looking extremely agitated. Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao, who were standing by, were both startled. It was the first time they had seen Min like this. What on earth was going on? Liao Haomiao lowered his voice and whispered in Zhu Tao's ear. What's with this guy? Could he be Min's ex-boyfriend? Zhu Tao frowned, shook her head, and denied it. Impossible. Min's first love is Zhou Hong. How could there be any ex-boyfriend? Zhou Hong was also very confused at this point and asked, You know him? Who is he? Pan Shi crossed his arms, raised his chin smugly, a grin spreading across his face, and said loudly, I'm her brother. Zhou Heng's eyes widened. His mature and steady face instantly turned ashen. He hadn't been very surprised when he met Min's aunt before, but he had never heard that Min had a brother. Min pointed at Pan Shi and scolded angrily. Get lost. Have you no shame? We don't even have a blood relationship. How dare you say you're my brother? What? Isn't my dad also your dad? What did I say that was wrong? You're twisting words. At this point, Zhou Hong and Tang Ji seemed to understand. They seemed to know this person's identity. It should be. This guy's biological father is Min's stepfather. It should be a relationship like that, right? When they went for hot pot before, they had met a woman who made Min cry and was eventually driven away by Zhou Heng's mother. At that time, it was said that the person was Min's father's ex-wife. So, this guy should be that woman's son, right? It was indeed mentioned back then that he had a son with his ex-wife. After Min's parents died, the ex-wife brought that son and took over the house, leaving Min homeless. So this is that guy? To say he's Min's brother is both right and wrong. According to this relationship, they have the same father, so it wouldn't be wrong for Min to call him brother. But they indeed have no blood relationship. So to say he's her brother is a bit of a stretch. What's going on? Is it a bit inappropriate for us to be listening in? I think so too. Let's go for a walk. It will definitely be more awkward if we're here. Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao exchanged a few whispered words and then quietly slipped away. They were also being considerate of Min, so they didn't listen to these things, afraid of embarrassing her. However, although the two of them left for Min's sake, there were two people who now wished they could hear every single word. What did he say? What did he say? It seems like they're talking about Dad. Your dad, my dad, TSK, I can't hear clearly. At this moment, Yuling Xue and Baicong were hiding behind a tree. Baicong held binoculars in one hand and something like a sound amplifier to his ear in the other, trying to hear the distant group's conversation, but he could only catch a few words. Yuling Xue was squatting there, writing in a notebook with a pen. Move aside. I can read lips. Yuling Xue stood up, snatched the binoculars from Baicong's hand, while Baicong took the pen and notebook, ready to write down what Yuling Xue conveyed. What more do you want? You guys have already pushed me to the brink. As Yuling Xue spoke, Baicong wrote, the two of them coordinating perfectly. I never thought there was a story like this. This is a great opportunity. If I can help Min resolve her pain, won't I be able to win Zhou Heng's favor? Baicong wrote furiously, his eyes gleaming, looking very excited. But as he was writing, Yuling Xue suddenly fell silent. What's wrong? Speak. Can't you read lips? Who's talking now? Yuling Xue stared through the binoculars, pursed her lips, and swallowed before saying, Zhou Hong. He's cursing right now. Let's not write that down. Oh, okay. After Zhou Hong and Tang Ji learned of Pan Shi's identity, they stopped being polite. They were afraid that Pan Shi, like his obnoxious mother, would make Min cry again. So the two of them stepped forward to confront him, not giving Pan Shi a chance to bully Min. Pan Shi seemed completely unfazed, not showing any change in expression no matter what Zhou Hong and Tang Ji said. The young man next to him couldn't take it anymore and would occasionally retort to defend his good buddy. Hey, I just didn't know your situation. Why didn't you say so earlier? I'm your brother, after all. Of course I would have helped you. Pan Shi spread his hands, shook his head with a sympathetic look. No matter how well he acted, in Min's eyes, it was all blatant mockery, both infuriating and disgusting. How about this? You should hurry up and move back home. Home is still the best, don't you think? But, there are only 2 bedrooms. My mom lives in the master bedroom, and I live in your old room, so you'll just have to squeeze in with me. Pan Shi smiled slightly and said softly, Yufgur. Zhou Hong was so angry he subconsciously raised his hand to punch him hard. Squeeze in with him? Min had been sleeping with him for so long, and it was only because of his strong willpower that he had restrained himself. This guy, who wasn't even blood-related to Yin Mingran, it was clear to everyone what his intentions were. In an instant, Yu Lingxue in the shadows immediately threw aside her binoculars and prepared to rush out. He's about to make a move. Act now. Baicong understood instantly and nodded. Okay, protect the targets. Zhou Heng is the top priority, then Yin Mingran. Ignore that Tang Ji. Yu Lingxue agreed verbally, but in her heart, she was thinking, how could I not care about Tang Ji? Logically, Tang Ji should be just as important as Yin Mingran and must be protected. But that night, Yu Lingxue had already felt the pressure from Tang Ji. Perhaps she wasn't qualified to protect her at all. Wait, darling. Just as Zhou Heng was about to lose his temper and act, Yin Mingran grabbed him in time, preventing him from doing something impulsive. If he threw a punch, there would be a lot of trouble. She looked at Zhou Heng, shook her head gently, and comforted him. Don't stoop to his level. It's not worth it. Just ignore him. It's fine. I won't be affected by this kind of thing anymore. Yin Mingran showed a smile that instantly calmed Zhou Heng down. That smile seemed to tell him that the life she was living now had made her strong enough to no longer be affected by these negative emotions. The time she was angered to tears, she was truly helpless and pitiful. But now, everything Zhou Heng and the others had brought her had allowed her to walk out of that shadow. All right, Zhou Heng returned a faint smile, reassuring her. After all, he wasn't ill-tempered. Every time he got angry, it was because of something related to Yin Mingran. That was the one thing he absolutely couldn't tolerate. Zhou Heng and Yin Mingran decided not to pursue the matter, but Pan Shi had no intention of letting it go. He sneered, looking Zhou Heng up and down. No way. Yin Mingran, is this your boyfriend? You're just playing around with him, right? After all, this is the only way you can survive now. Just keep changing boyfriends and let them support you. Tell me, how much did this one spend on you? Zhou Heng and Yin Mingran looked up, just glaring at him with cold eyes before cursing, sicko. Then they decided to ignore him and walk forward. They didn't want to waste any more time on this guy. He was exactly like his mother. No wonder they were related. His talent for being punchable was even greater than hers. Watching Zhou Heng and the others leave, Pan Shi shouted at their backs, "You better be careful. Look how big and burly he is. He'll definitely abuse you. And one look at him, you can tell he's not an honest guy. He's definitely playing around on the side." Say that again. Yin Mingran clenched her fists, turned around, and glared at him with hateful eyes. What does it matter how many times I say it? He doesn't look like a good person. What? Was I wrong? Yin Mingran's shoulders trembled slightly, as if she was trying hard to control her emotions. The next second, she couldn't hold it in any longer. I'll fight you to the death. Before she could finish her sentence, Yin Mingran was about to rush forward, her aura exploding with the intent to kill Pan Shi. Zhou Heng was startled, his eyes wide. The next second, he quickly hugged Yin Mingran, holding her in his arms. Hey, babe, calm down. Didn't you say it? Don't stoop to his level. No, he dared to say that about you. I have to kill him. While in Zhou Heng's arms, Yin Mingran kept struggling. Zhou Heng almost couldn't hold her back. What? You're going to kill me? Come on. Your big brother is standing right here. Let's see how you're going to kill me. Pan Shi, far from being scared, kept moving forward, seemingly not taking Yin Mingran seriously at all. They're about to fight. I'm going in. Baicong realized the time was right for him to make his entrance. But just as he was about to dash out, Yu Lingxue suddenly pulled him back. Wait, don't be rash. What? You're not anxious now? They're about to start fighting. Are you trying to steal my credit? No. Look, it seems like someone is walking over. Keep calm and let's see what happens. At this moment, Pan Shi's friend also noticed and quickly tapped his arm, whispering, Hey, the department bell is here. Where? Pan Shi's eyes instantly widened. He craned his neck like a turtle and looked ahead. Indeed, he saw the figure he had dreamed of, walking hurriedly towards them. Upon seeing this person, Pan Shi's philtrum stretched long as he grinned lewdly, a sight that was somewhat nauseating. My beloved Shenlini is here. Why is she in such a hurry? Could she be looking for me? Is today my lucky day? Pan Shi started fixing his hair and clothes, seemingly having forgotten all about Zhou Heng and Yin Mingran. After Shenlini walked over, she stopped beside them. Pan Shi's heart felt like it was about to jump out his chest. In the past, Shenlini would have walked past without a glance, and nothing he said could ever make her stop. But today, this was the closest she had ever been to him. Was his luck with women finally turning around? Hey, Shenlini, Before Pan Shi could say anything, He saw Shun Lini's sharp glare directed at him. Her face and expression were icy cold, making one instinctively want to stay away. Panshur immediately shut his mouth and took a step back, saying nothing more. He was actually used to it, because this was how Shun Lini was. Everyone knew it, so no matter how beautiful she was, no one dared to pursue her. After all, the door was shut so tight there wasn't even a crack to slip through. Panshur was an exception, persisting only through his sheer shamelessness. After Emin Gran saw Shun Lini, her face immediately lit up with a smile as she greeted her happily, "Sister." Hearing Emin Ran's sweet call, Shun Lini's expression instantly went from cloudy to sunny. She turned her head, and a faint smile appeared on her lips. She nodded and responded softly. Just by turning her head, she seemed like a different person. Panshur's eyeballs nearly popped out. His mouth twitched, and he was almost scared silly. He had never seen Shun Lini in this state. Not just him, probably no one had. Many people thought Shun Lini had resting bitch face syndrome. Who would have thought her expression could be so gentle, and that she could even smile? You know each other. Panshur raised a trembling hand, pointed at Emin Gran and Shun Lini, and stammered. Shun Lini turned around, her expression becoming terrifying again. Staring at Panshur, she shielded Jo Hung and Emin Gran behind her and slowly spoke in a voice that was neither loud nor soft. "This is my younger brother and my sister-in-law." She spoke. Holy crap. Shun Lini spoke. Panshur's friend behind him was stunned, covering his mouth with a look of pure shock, as if he'd been struck by lightning. For so long, he had never heard Shun Lini speak. He sometimes even wondered if Shun Lini was mute, or had some illness like autism that kept her from saying a word. To think he would actually hear her speak today, this was truly Dongju University's best moment of the year. Panshur was equally in disbelief. Both the fact that Shun Lini had spoken and the content of her words left Panshur utterly shocked. How could the department belle he had been pursuing for so long be connected to Emin Gran, and even have a connection to Emin Ran's boyfriend? It caused his brain to short-circuit for a moment, his ability to think dropping to zero, a complete blank. At this moment, Bai Tsong and Yu Lingxue, having noticed the change in situation, had hidden themselves again, looking for their next opportunity and secretly investigating. Quick, what did she say? Who is that woman? Bai Tsong held a pen and notebook, ready to jot things down. He didn't want to miss any important information. But Yu Lingxue stared through her binoculars for a long time without speaking, making Bai Tsong extremely anxious. Yu Lingxue had already figured out Shun Lini's identity through lip reading. She couldn't help but be surprised. She hadn't even figured out Tang Ji yet, and now another one of Zhou Heng's relatives had appeared. And most importantly, was everyone in Zhou Heng's family this good-looking? She said, "She's Zhou Heng and the others. Online friend. They met online, got along well, so that's why they came here to hang out today." Yu Lingxue lied as easily as breathing. After all, Bai Tsong knew nothing. Why should she share such important information with him? They were competitors. Of course, the more advantages she had, the better. Bai Tsong frowned, paused for a moment, then nodded in realization. "Oh, I see. So she's an online friend. No wonder. Looks like she's not an important figure. Forget it. Yes, that's right." Zhou Heng stepped forward. He couldn't let a girl protect him. He walked up and asked, "Do you know them?" Shun Lini shook her head and said softly, "I don't. They seem to be from a university next door." "Next door? I remember it's." Tang Ji whispered in everyone's ear, and the others nodded in understanding, a no wonder expression on their faces. The university next door was indeed quite bad, or at least famously bad, with a very low admission threshold. It was only natural for a student like Panshur to be from that university. Panshur and his friend felt they were losing face. He walked forward, smiled awkwardly, and said, "This is all a misunderstanding." "A misunderstanding? Look, I'm Emin Ran's brother. We're all family. If you don't believe me, ask her." Panshur pointed at Emin Gran and then gave her desperate looks. The pleading in his eyes was about to overflow. If looks could kneel, Panshur would be kowtowing to Emin Gran right now. This was a golden opportunity to get connected with Shun Lini. So many guys at school longed to say just one word to Shun Lini. If he could get connected with her, he could brag about it for a long time. Besides, once he was connected, he would have a reason to talk to Shun Lini, instead of just harassing her. All his hopes were pinned on Emin Gran. Why didn't you say so earlier? Why didn't you say you had this kind of relationship with Shun Lini? I would have put you on a pedestal. I would have done everything to please you. When a person becomes speechless to a certain degree, they really do laugh. Zhou Heng and Yin Mingran were at the peak of speechlessness. They simply let out a scoff and said nothing, because they felt no words could describe Pan Shi's shamelessness. Sister, let's go, don't mind him. Yin Mingran didn't want to get entangled with him any longer and ruin her good mood for the day. So she took Shenlini's arm, and they left together. Pan Shi raised his hand, still wanting to stop them, but they walked away without looking back, not giving him a chance to say anything. He couldn't chase after them to argue either, not with Shenlini there. If he kept talking, his impression in her mind would definitely get worse. His friend walked up, sighed, and patted his shoulder. Forget it. Don't even think about the department bell. They're related, and after what you said about them, you definitely have no chance. I'm not convinced. Didn't you see that guy's attitude just now? It pisses me off. What's he pretending for? Or why does he have to be so arrogant? Pan Shi put his hands on his hips, frowning tightly, looking incredibly angry. But his anger all stemmed from Zhou Heng. It wasn't really because of Zhou Heng's bad attitude just now, but mainly because Zhou Heng was surrounded by so many beautiful women. He didn't have a single woman around him who could compare. So what are you going to do? Find people to mess with him? Of course. They're definitely not from Dongzhi University. You follow them, I'll go get some people. I have to mess with him. Suit yourself. Just as the two of them were about to act, they turned around and found two people standing behind them who hadn't been there before. Whoa, scared the hell out of me. A man and a woman stood before them, smiling at them. Despite the smiles, they felt there was something malicious about them. What did you say you were going to do? Say it again. Who are you going to get people to mess with? Who? Yu Ling Xue and Bai Tsong cracked their knuckles, stepping closer, the smiles on their faces never fading but becoming increasingly cold. What are you doing? Who are you? Pan Shi didn't know why, but he felt a sense of fear from their aura. He had some impression of the girl in front of him. Wasn't she that pretty girl he saw pass by earlier? He didn't know them, and he had no beef with them. What were they trying to do? Yu Ling Xue and Bai Tsong chuckled and replied faintly. It is my responsibility to handle all his hidden dangers. Although my abilities are limited, fortunately, you are not much of a threat. I need to let you know that there are some people you can't just mess with. Especially a guy like you, understand? The group played until evening before leaving under Shun Lini's farewell, boarding the subway home. Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao didn't hang out with Zhou Heng's group, but had a private date all day. They only joined up when it was time to leave. I feel like she's not as severely socially anxious as you guys said. She talked to me a lot today, Tang Ji said, sitting and looking at Zhou Heng and Yin Mingran. She's much better now, right? Yin Mingran lifted her chin, looking slightly proud. After all, it was largely due to her efforts. She had been trying to help Shenlini open up all day. She wasn't like this before. It's all thanks to my treasure, right? Zhou Heng reached out and kneaded Yin Mingran's cheeks like a ball of dough, and Yin Mingran just giggled foolishly. How do you two feel about this school? Are you going to apply? Tang Ji looked up and asked Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao. The two had been on a date all day, wanting to enjoy their time alone. Unlike Zhou Heng and Yin Mingran, who were together every day, they hadn't seen each other in a long time. It was a rare date, so of course they wanted to be alone. Liao Haomiao thought for a moment and nodded. It's not bad, worth considering. We can't decide for sure right now. We need to think it through. I still want to apply to a school far from home. Zhu Tao shared her thoughts. She still felt that Dongzhi University was too close to her home. She had discussed this with Liao Haomiao before. When it came to university, they wanted to go together, and they wanted it to be far from home, because they had always been under their family's control and rarely got to meet, which was torture for them at this age of passionate love. They were incredibly envious of Zhou Heng and Yin Mingran, who could be together every day, go to school, studying, leaving school, and living together. These are things they could only achieve in university. So from the very beginning, they planned to go to a university far away, for the sake of their freedom to love. Okay, no problem. These things need careful consideration. It's best to plan it all out with your families. Yin Mingran nodded, agreeing with their thoughts. Although she also wanted them to apply to this university with them, she couldn't force them. It naturally depended on their own wishes. Zhou Heng also chimed in, yeah, we can always get together during holidays anyway, it's fine. Liao Haomiao smiled and said, okay, we'll probably have to start focusing on our studies now. We might not be able to hang out together again. Let's wait until after the college entrance exams. I'll treat you all to a meal. Okay, let's meet up then. Be careful on your way back. Liao Haomiao got off at Zhu Tao's stop. He was going to take Zhu Tao home first before going home himself. Of course, this process wouldn't be quick. They would probably walk this path at the slowest pace of their lives. All right, I'm heading home too, bye. Tang Ji also got off the subway at her stop and said goodbye to Zhou Heng and Yin Mingran. Move out. Meet me outside. Remember, follow orders, no rash moves. Just as Tang Ji got off the subway, another person quickly dashed off. This person was Bai Tsong. He was holding his phone, whispering into it to someone on the other end. Oomph. After Bai Tsong rushed off, Yu Lingxue sat in her original seat, crossed her legs, and smiled. She couldn't believe Bai Tsong was so easy to fool. He had actually fallen for her trick and was preparing to make a move on Tang Ji. According to her plan, after Tang Ji was threatened by Bai Tsong, she would definitely not let it slide, given her background. This would also serve to verify the authenticity of Tang Ji's background. Afterwards, Tang Ji would tell Zhou Heng about it, and then Bai Tsong would be completely out. She would have no competitors. After systematic study and training in university, she would be hired as Zhou Heng's secretary right after graduation, and thus reach the pinnacle of her life. As she thought about it, Yu Lingxue couldn't help but laugh out loud. Thankfully, her competitor was Bai Tsong, who was so easy to deal with. If it were someone of Tang Ji's level, she wouldn't have succeeded so easily. Tang Ji walked out of the subway station, opened her phone, and started a game, planning to play on her way home. Phew pop. She was chewing bubble gum, blowing a big bubble from time to time. Damn, 30 pulls and no gold. Zhou Heng's luck on this account is terrible. Tang Ji muttered as she walked into a rather dark alley. This was a necessary path on her way home. In the past, she had foiled Tong Yining and Lu Yunshua's plot to follow her here. But today, she was completely focused on her phone and didn't notice a barely visible rope tied between two trash cans ahead. Tang Ji's eyes widened as she tripped, her whole body pitching forward. Thud. Her reaction was extremely fast. The moment she fell, she did a forward roll to cushion the impact. Even so, her palm was scraped and bleeding. TSK. Tang Ji clicked her tongue, turned off her phone, and stuffed it into her pocket. She frowned. She didn't even have time to be stunned or think, nor did she treat her wound. The next second, like a cat in the night, she bent over and quickly darted into the dark alley. Where is she? I just heard a sound. Bai Tsong ran out from the alley entrance, followed by several tall, burly men. He had set up that simple trap beforehand to control Tang Ji and give her no time to react. But he didn't expect Tang Ji's reaction to be so fast. Before he knew what happened, she had escaped. Bai Tsong frowned and said, "Find her quickly. She just fell. She can't have gone far. Just corner her when you find her. Don't get physical. Young Master Bai, what if she fights back? Keep an eye on the camera locations. Don't go too far, or I'll have your heads." Understood. The men quickly ran past Bai Tsong and into the dark alley to search for Tang Ji. Bai Tsong also walked forward slowly, observing the layout of the alley. It was a bit complex, but she probably couldn't have gone too far. Just then, as Bai Tsong was passing a pitch-black intersection, he suddenly heard something fall to the ground behind him. Thud. Bai Tsong's eyes widened, his face a mask of horror, a reaction of pure shock. He didn't dare turn around, his body instantly rigid. Bai Tsong slowly raised his head and looked up, his heart instantly turning cold. Just now, could she have been hanging from the ventilation pipe up there? Tisk. Bai Tsong frowned and quickly turned, but in the instant he turned, his entire center of gravity became unstable. His eyes widened. He had been caught in the middle of his turn. His body involuntarily shifted to the side and was then dragged into a nearby alley. Bang! Then he was kicked against the wall and fell, sitting on the ground. Leaning against the wall, he looked up in horror at the dark figure before him. "Wait, what are you doing? There's a camera here," Bai Tsong said with a hint of fear, raising his head to point at the corner of the wall. It wasn't too high, and there was a security camera there. But he discovered that the camera lens now seemed to be covered by something. "Is that bubblegum?" Bai Tsong gasped, a chill running down his spine. He finally realized something was wrong. The person in front of him was no simple high school girl. This kind of action was even more exaggerated than that of people like him and Yu Lingxue, who had received special training since childhood. This was definitely not something an ordinary student could do. Tang Ji stood before Bai Tsong, her face exceptionally grim and cold, her eyes terrifying. She tore open a Band-Aid and placed it on the bleeding wound on her palm. "This shouldn't stop me from hitting you, right? Don't worry. I won't be as merciful as Yu Lingxue. Do you know who I am? You dare hit me? If you lay a hand on me, your life will be over. You'll have no future." Bai Tsong was genuinely scared now and started threatening Tang Ji. The force of her kick just now still made his stomach ache. She was surprisingly strong. He had already been beaten up by Yu Lingxue. If Tang Ji beat him up too, where would he hide his face? Wait a minute. How did Tang Ji know that Ling Shue had beaten him? Did Ling Shue tell her? Why would she tell her something like that? Tang Ji seemed completely unfazed by Bai Song's threats. She nodded silently and said softly, "You're right. You have a backer, so I should ask my backer too." Tang Ji then took out her phone, dialed a number, and put it on speaker. "Hello." A voice came from the other end of the phone, making Bai Song tremble all over, startled. This voice was Zhou Heng. This late at night, Tang Ji was calling Zhou Heng? Wasn't he Ming Ran with him? Wouldn't she mind? But Tang Ji's next words instantly made Bai Song's heart turn cold. "Brother, someone is bullying me and won't let me fight back. What should I do?" Bai Song's eyes widened. He almost fainted with his eyes open, his mouth twitching and eyebrows jumping, unable to speak. The voice on the phone was definitely Zhou Heng, but why did she call Zhou Heng brother? It couldn't be what he was thinking, could it? The other end of the line was silent for a moment, then let out a heavy sigh before slowly speaking. "Where are you now?" "I'm coming right over." "No." Bai Song wanted to speak up and stop him, but then he quickly shut his mouth. He absolutely could not let Zhou Heng know it was him. Otherwise, he would be finished. He never expected that Tang Ji could summon Zhou Heng so easily with just one phone call. It seemed that brother was no joke. Tang Ji was Zhou Heng's sister? How did he not investigate this properly? Bai Song immediately put his hands together, constantly begging Tang Ji, his face looking like he was about to cry. He didn't dare to speak, just opened his mouth without making a sound, almost kneeling before Tang Ji. Tang Ji scoffed and said, "All right, I won't trouble you. I'll handle it myself. I'll help you with your game account when I get home." "Ah, okay then. Be safe. Call me if anything happens." Ran, and I will be right over." "Got it. You guys rest early." Then, Tang Ji hung up the phone, put it back in her pocket, and looked at Bai Song, crossing her arms. "Hey, found him. Over here. Young Master Bai is here too." At this moment, the men Bai Song had brought finally found them. They were a bit surprised to see Bai Song sitting on the ground. "Quick, save young Master Bai. Don't come over. Stay there, don't move." Bai Song immediately held out his hand to stop them, preventing them from coming closer. The men were startled and stood in place, not daring to make a rash move. Bai Song knew that in this situation, he couldn't do anything more to Tang Ji. Otherwise, he would have no chance at all. Even if he stopped now and apologized, it might not be enough. So, the only solution now was probably to let Tang Ji vent her anger. Bai Song, breathing heavily, stood up with a trembling body. He then slowly squatted down, putting his hands on his head. Then, he looked up at Tang Ji and said softly, "Please." Tang Ji chuckled, cracking her knuckles loudly. "You're a smart one. Don't worry, I know my limits. At the very least, I have to leave some face for young Master Bai's father, right? After all, if a father knew his son liked men." Cough, 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 cough. Bai Song suddenly started coughing violently, trying to interrupt Tang Ji. The moment she said that, Bai Song's heart started pounding. Bai Song looked up sharply, his gaze extremely firm as he looked at Tang Ji and said, "Please, use all your strength. Sister Tang, hit me hard until you're satisfied. I'm begging you." The men's jaws dropped, their eyes wide with disbelief. What was this? What was their young Master Bai up to? Had he suddenly awakened some strange fetish? This was hardly the time for it. A person shouldn't, at least not now. Tang Ji snorted, glanced at the men, waved her hand, and said loudly, "Turn around. This is not for kids to watch." The burly men paused for a moment, then obediently turned around and covered their eyes. A moment later, they heard the sounds of thuds and Bai Song's screams from behind. It sent a chill down their spines. However, the screams seemed a bit off. Sister Tang. Hiss, it's okay, I can take more. Don't hold back. From now on, I'll follow you. This little brother is willing to be your workhorse. Please, you must. Forget about what happened today." After about 10 minutes, the sounds in the alley gradually faded. Tang Ji rolled her shoulders, feeling like she had just gone through a very intense workout. Phew. She exhaled and looked at the men who had long been stupefied by the scene. "All right, take him back. You all saw nothing today, right?" Yes. The men nodded repeatedly. What could they say? They were utterly shocked by what had just happened. They never thought a seemingly slender girl could beat a person for a full 10 minutes. Forget Bai Song, even they, a group of burly men, probably couldn't have withstood it. At this point, Bai Song had collapsed on the ground, his whole body aching. But miraculously, there were no bruises on his face. Tang Ji had avoided all visible areas. An ordinary person wouldn't notice any change, but if he took off his clothes, there would probably be many bruises. Young Master Bai. Young Master Bai, are you okay? The men went over, wanting to help Bite Song up, but as soon as they touched him, he cried out in pain. Ah, ah, idiots. Be gentle. Damn it. Bite Song unceremoniously slapped them, but they didn't say a word. It's not like Bite Song slaps hurt much now. He could barely even stand up. But they secretly admired him. Bite Song was really tough, able to stand up after being beaten for 10 minutes. If he hadn't undergone some professional training to withstand blows, then he must have just gotten used to it from being beaten up a lot. Just as Bite Song was about to be carried away by the others, Tang Ji looked at his back and suddenly said, Yuling Xue was right after all. Huh? Bite Song stopped abruptly, painstakingly turning his head slowly to look at Tang Ji and asked softly, Sister Tang, what did Yuling Xue say? Tang Ji revealed an imperceptible smile and said, Guess. Anyway, I know you two were following us all day today. What? Bite Song's mouth twitched, and he frowned deeply. No wonder he felt like everything was going wrong today. He hadn't bothered much with Yuling Xue today, cooperating with her in the surveillance. But it turned out he had already been sold out. So that's how it was. That's how it was. Bite Song instantly figured out. That's why Tang Ji had suddenly given him the middle finger on the subway. It was because Yuling Xue had already exposed their movements. No wonder he hadn't gotten any results today. They were already prepared for him. Yuling Xue had actually used this self-sabotaging method to stop him. How vicious. Now it seemed that Tang Ji's quick reaction to his attack was probably also thanks to a secret tip-off from Yuling Xue. You wretched Yuling Xue. Bite Song now focused all his resentment on Yuling Xue. Tang Ji quickly waved her hand, saying, Hey, I didn't say anything. Don't worry, Sister Tang, I understand. This has nothing to do with you. You didn't say anything. Bite Song nodded understandingly and didn't say more to Tang Ji before leaving with the support of his men. Tang Ji stood there, not leaving immediately. She slowly took out her phone, took a picture of the wound on her palm, and then sent it to one person. Yuling Xue? A moment later, Yuling Xue immediately replied. How did this happen? How did you get hurt? Tang Ji raised a smile, not replying to Yuling Xue immediately. Instead, she put her phone in her pocket and went home first. She knew that the current Yuling Xue must be staring at her screen, eagerly awaiting her reply. After all, if she had a guilty conscience, any casual word would make her overthink and even keep her up at night. This was exactly what Tang Ji intended. First, leave Yuling Xue hanging, let her panic and feel anxious first, and give her a mental shock. Tang Ji no longer needed to ask Yuling Xue what happened. From a moment Bite Song appeared, she had figured everything out. Yuling Xue wanted Bite Song to become her enemy, diverting her main target of hostility to Bite Song, while she reaped the benefits. This trick might have worked easily on others, but it would never work on her. She probably didn't expect Bite Song to fail, bringing so many people and still not being able to do anything to her. Instead, she had taught him a lesson and directed his anger towards her. If she liked to play games like this, then she would play along. What's wrong? Reply. Are you in danger? Where are you? I'll come find you. Are you there? Are you home? Or are you outside? Are you alone? Did you fall and hurt yourself by accident? After Tang Ji got home, her phone already had several messages from Yuling Xue. She read every one, satisfied with the effect, but she just didn't reply, making Yuling Xue so anxious she even started a voice call. Tang Ji checked the time, felt it was about right, and slowly replied to Yuling Xue, Stop pretending. Bite Song told me everything. After replying, Tang Ji went even further and held down the power button. After turning off her phone, she sat down at her computer, put on her headphones, and started happily playing games. And at this very moment, Yuling Xue looked at the message on her phone, feeling like the sky was falling. What on earth had happened? Sending her a picture of an injury, and then that sentence, made Yuling Xue simulate the entire event in her mind. Could it be that Bite Song really didn't hold back and gave Tang Ji a harsh beating? Then Tang Ji revealed her identity, and Bite Song, to save himself, blamed everything on her. That was the only possibility, which meant not only did she fail to use Tang Ji to get rid of Bite Song, but she had even drawn Tang Ji's hostility toward herself. Yuling Xue's heart began to pound. Her entire heart felt like it was about to jump out, and her body was trembling slightly. She quickly picked up her phone, preparing to make a call. Hello, the number you have dialed is switched off. Click. Yuling Xue heard the prompt from the other end of the phone and was instantly dumbfounded. The phone in her hand fell to the floor. She had only one voice in her head now. It's over, it's over, it's over. After being dazed for a long time, Yuling Xue came back to her senses, gritted her teeth, and roared, Bastard Bite Song, I'm not finished with you. She picked up her phone and called Bite Song. But after the call connected, Yulingxue didn't even have a chance to speak before she heard Bai Song's furious voice from the other end. F you, Yulingxue, you Fing have a nerve to call me, I'll Fing. Yulingxue's eyes widened as she listened to Bai Song's furious curses over the phone. Her face turned red at a speed visible to the naked eye. I'll Fing. Bai Song, who the F are you cursing at? I'll Fing. The two of them just shouted and cursed loudly, getting more and more worked up, making Yulingxue momentarily forget she was living next door to Zhou Hong. Zhou Hong and Yin Mingran were lying in bed, holding their phones, their mouths slightly agape, looking stunned as they listened to Yulingxue's stream of profanities coming from next door. Yin Mingran blinked, looked at Zhou Hong with a bewildered expression, and asked, "What's going on?" Zhou Hong shook his head dazedly. She's probably gaming with her mic on. Does gaming get this intense? Sometimes. The cursing from next door continued for about 5 minutes before Yulingxue, panting heavily, hung up. She now completely saw Bai Song as an enemy, the kind she wished would die. She no longer cared whether Bai Song had framed her or not. She would just assume he had. And she also knew how to deal with Bai Song while ensuring her own plan proceeded smoothly. When over Tang Ji, she had figured out. It was still a bit difficult to get on good terms with Zhou Hong now, so she had to start with Tang Ji. The next morning, Tang Ji opened her eyes, yawned, and sat up. She first picked up her phone, pressed the button, but it didn't light up, then remembered she had turned it off. Tang Ji turned on her phone, and a flood of messages immediately appeared. There were messages from Zhou Hong and Yin Mingran, mainly asking how she was and if anything had happened. There were also messages from Yulingxue, and not many, perhaps because she was afraid of annoying her, or perhaps because she didn't know what to say. Tang Ji didn't reply, but she could already guess how Yulingxue and Bai Song would treat her today. After getting up and washing, Tang Ji's mother, Zhou Yalan, had already made lunch for her to take to school. After getting ready, Tang Ji left for school. When she walked out the door and got downstairs, she felt something was not quite right. No way. Tang Ji chewed her bubblegum and frowned. She saw a figure in the distance walking towards her. That figure seemed to be Yulingxue. When Yulingxue saw Tang Ji, she quickened her pace slightly. She was holding something in her hand. Tang Ji, you didn't reply to me last night. I was quite worried, so I came to find you early in the morning. Your hand. Is it okay? Yulingxue came up to Tang Ji, holding a small first aid kit with gauze and other things, as if she was going to help Tang Ji treat her wound. Tang Ji glanced at Yulingxue. This was all within her expectations. She had guessed that the extremely anxious Yulingxue would come looking for her first thing in the morning. She raised her hand to show Yulingxue and said, "It's fine. It is already scabbed over." Yulingxue was a bit embarrassed and said softly, "It was that guy Bai Song, wasn't it? I swear, it has absolutely nothing to do with me. We're enemies. Anything he says is just to slander me." Yulingxue looked at Tang Ji with a serious expression, carefully observing Tang Ji's facial changes, trying to see what she was thinking. But Tang Ji didn't have much of a reaction, just nodding and saying, "Okay, I know." Tang Ji's calm reaction made Yulingxue feel a bit awkward. She didn't know what Tang Ji was thinking, whether she believed her words or not. Just then, they heard another call. Sister Tang. Hearing this voice, Yulingxue's gaze instantly turned cold, the twitching of her lips betraying her suppressed anger. When they looked in the direction of the voice, they saw that person walking towards them. It was Bai Song. When he saw Yulingxue, he paused for a moment, just frowning slightly, as if he had expected Yulingxue to be here. Then, he completely erased Yulingxue from his line of sight, chose to ignore her, and walked straight up to Tang Ji. "Sister Tang, here, let me carry your bag. And this is the tea I just personally brewed. Have some." Bai Song showed a natural and gentle smile, not looking forced at all, as if it were a complete expression of genuine emotion. He held a new teacup, handing it to Tang Ji. Inside was brewed black tea, looking quite exquisite. Bai Song, a surge of anger rose in Yulingxue. She could see that this Bai Song had clearly thought of the same thing as her again, both planning to start with Tang Ji, making Tang Ji their main target. She wanted to scold Bai Song for being shameless, but since they were in front of Tang Ji, she didn't want to argue and make Tang Ji unhappy. She thought that Tang Ji wouldn't pay him any attention. But the next second, Tang Ji actually took the teacup and handed her own bag to Bai Song. "Okay." After saying that, Tang Ji turned and left, leaving behind a bewildered Yulingxue and a pleasantly surprised Bai Song. "No, this. Yulingxue was completely dumbfounded. Tang Ji had just rejected her, which she thought was normal, but why did she accept Bai Song's goodwill? Was she not even as good as Bite Song? Where did she go wrong that she was inferior to Bite Song? TSK tisk, I'm off then. You can slowly daze out here. Bite Song triumphantly slung Tang Ji's bag over his shoulder, clicked his tongue in front of Yu Lingxue, and followed with a smile. Yu Lingxue blinked, staring fiercely at Bite Song's back, her eyes filled with unwillingness. But she wouldn't just give up. She guessed this might be one of Bite Song's little tricks, and Tang Ji was surely kept in the dark. Yu Lingxue also quickly followed, to prevent Bite Song and Tang Ji from saying anything important that she couldn't hear. However, Tang Ji, walking at the very front, slowly raised the corners of her lips, her eyes narrowing slightly. Everything she was doing was simply to stir the pot. The murkier, the better. Anyway, she found it interesting, and there was no harm in it. Tang Ji didn't go looking for Zhou Heng and the others. She knew she should give Zhou Heng and Yin Min Gran their own space to go to school together. They didn't like it when there were too many people. Tang Ji looked up at the sky, smiled slightly, touched her chin, and muttered to herself, "How can I train them to be more interesting?" Konyu arrived at the school gate, glanced over, and saw Tang Ji walking towards him. "Morning, Tang Ji." Konyu just gave a simple greeting, saying nothing else, when he saw two figures whoosh up to them. Move aside, don't block the way." Yu Lingxue and Bite Song, as if in a hurry to get somewhere, walked forward and directly blocked Konyu a meter away. Konyu froze, standing there blinking, somewhat at a loss. What were these two up to? Were they blocking him? He hadn't done anything. Was it not even okay to say hello now? Tang Ji smiled a bit awkwardly, then raised her hand and replied, morning." Konyu nodded dazedly, then watched as the three of them walked away from him. What's with? Does Tang Ji have bodyguard for school now? Tang Ji arrived in the classroom and sat down in her seat. Zhou Heng first looked her up and down before asking, "What happened last night? You suddenly called. Yin Min Gran was very worried about you." Tang Ji shook her head and said softly, "It's nothing, a small conflict. It's resolved." Zhou Heng didn't press further. He knew Tang Ji could handle these small matters. If it were something big, she would have told him long ago. That's good. Let me know if anything happens." Okay. The results of the last exam were out, and Zhou Heng had improved again. Although not as dramatically as before, for his current ranking, it was already very impressive. This filled Zhou Heng with hope. As long as his ranking was rising, it proved he was constantly improving. There was still some time before the college entrance exam. This period of several months would pass quickly, so Zhou Heng didn't dare to slack off at all, and his dedication to studying intensified. At noon, Yu Lingxue went to the restroom and walked out of the classroom alone. As she was washing her hands, she saw someone standing behind her. Yu Lingxue shook her wet hands, turned around, tilted her head, somewhat surprised. She recognized the person in front of her, a classmate, quite pretty, but a bit quiet. Her name seemed to be Tong Yining. She saw Tong Yining's eyes fixed on her, which made her a bit uncomfortable, so she asked, "What's wrong? Do you need something? Are you trying to get close to Zhou Heng?" Tong Yining's sudden question made Yu Lingxue's brow furrow instantly. She lowered her head slightly, her gaze becoming sharp. "Oh, now that you mention it, I remember. I've heard your story. The girl who rejected Zhou Heng for 2 years? Is that right?" Yu Lingxue took 2 steps forward, her tone calm, but laced with pressure, causing Tong Yining to instinctively step back. Especially when this matter was mentioned, it was like a sharp sword piercing her chest, making it hard to breathe. This was the most painful thing for her, something that could easily affect her emotions. She never thought that Yu Lingxue, who had only transferred a few days ago, had already heard about it. I. Tong Yining was at a loss for a moment, forgetting what she had wanted to say. Her mind was in chaos. Before she could even make a move, her opponent had already seized her weakness. Yu Lingxue smiled slightly and continued, "What? Are you meddling in Zhou Heng's affairs now? In what capacity? A classmate? A friend? I'd like to ask you, why did you reject Zhou Heng for 2 years? Was he not your type? Was it because his grades were bad before? Or did you think his situation wasn't good enough?" That has nothing to do with you." Tong Yining swallowed, her throat moving, her speech faltering. But that didn't mean she didn't care. Every word Yu Lingxue said was stabbing her heart. Yu Lingxue sneered and said faintly, "It has nothing to do with me. I'm just commenting from an observer's perspective. I don't know you well. I've only heard things from others. At least from what I can see now, it's a good thing for Zhou Heng that you didn't say yes. Otherwise, he wouldn't be with a great girl like Yin Min Gran." This blow was like a finishing move, completely igniting Tong Yining's emotions. Her voice suddenly rose several octaves as she pointed at Yu Lingxue, her face as dark as a storm cloud. What you? Seeing how much you care about what I say, it seems you still have feelings for Zhou Hong, don't you? And you ask if I'm trying to get close to him. Are you on guard against me? You should be on guard against yourself. You'll find out later. Zhou Hong is much more outstanding than you imagine. You can slowly regret it. After speaking, Yuling Xue intended to leave, not wanting to waste any more time on Tang Yining. But Tang Yining's face was already flushed, completely provoked by Yuling Xue. She took a step forward, reached out, and grabbed for Yuling Xue's shoulder. Stop. Smack. The moment Tang Yining's hand landed on Yuling Xue's shoulder, Yuling Xue's hand shot up and directly grabbed Tang Yining's wrist. The next second, her body began to counterattack as a conditioned reflex. She spun around, executed a simple restraining hold, and easily controlled Tang Yining, pressing her against the wall. Tang Yining cried out in pain, biting her lip, completely controlled by Yuling Xue, not daring to move a muscle. Ahem. Just then, a cough suddenly came from the restroom entrance. Yuling Xue and Tang Yining both looked up and saw someone standing at the door. Seeing this person, Yuling Xue's heart leaped. It was Tang Ji. Tang Yining was also stunned. Being seen in this situation by Tang Ji made her feel extremely ashamed. Tang Ji was so close with Zhou Hong. Would she tell him about this? Tang Ji looked at Yuling Xue and Tang Yining with an indifferent gaze, then said coldly to Yuling Xue, "Let go." Okay. Yuling Xue, like a machine obeying an absolute command, immediately released her hand upon hearing the instruction, put it behind her back, and stood up straight. At the same time, her heart was pounding and cold sweat ran down her back. She didn't know why Tang Ji reacted this way. Was Tang Ji good friends with Tang Yining? Had she offended someone she shouldn't have again? She was already far behind by Tsong. If she offended Tang Ji again, it would be over. Tang Ji. Yuling Xue wanted to say something, but Tang Ji turned and walked away. Yuling Xue anxiously wrung her hands, turned to look at Tang Yining, and quickly apologized. "I'm sorry." After saying that, she quickly chased after her. Tang Yining stood there, clutching her shoulder, blinking and muttering in a daze. What's going on? Yuling Xue followed behind Tang Ji like a child who had done something wrong. She spoke softly, asking, is Tang Yining your good friend? Tang Ji shook her head decisively, answering, no. Yuling Xue was a bit confused and stammered. Then what? Tang Ji knew what she wanted to ask. She turned her head and glanced at her. Is it right to get physical at school? No, it's not. I was wrong. Yuling Xue quickly lowered her head and admitted her mistake. This also brought her a sense of relief. It seemed she had been overthinking things. As long as Tang Ji wasn't angry with her, it was fine. And Tang Ji knew very well what she was doing. Whatever conflict Yuling Xue and Tang Yining had nothing to do with her. What just happened was just a simple obedience test, to see how obedient Yuling Xue was. The test results were quite satisfactory to her. Her goal was to make Yuling Xue and Bai Tsong stop having any ulterior motives towards her, to make them unconsciously become consistently obedient to her, like taming a pet. This was all for herself, and also for Zhou Heng's sake. Whether now or in the future, she couldn't keep someone with ulterior motives by her side. Tang Ji, why are you over at our class's side? Who are you looking for? Liao Haomiao came out of the restroom and saw Tang Ji and Yuling Xue walking over, feeling a bit puzzled. Their classrooms were quite far apart. Generally, coming here meant she was looking for someone. Help me call Bai Tsong, thanks. Oh, Liao Haomiao was taken aback for a moment, but he still nodded and agreed. He didn't know why Tang Ji was looking for Bai Tsong. He couldn't guess Tang Ji's thoughts and actions at all. Yuling Xue, on the side, became more and more puzzled. She didn't expect Tang Ji to be looking for Bai Tsong. She herself had never been actively sought out by Tang Ji alone. Had Bai Tsong's status in Tang Ji's heart really surpassed her own? In what way was she inferior to Bai Tsong? Liao Haomiao walked into the classroom, glanced at Bai Tsong sitting in the corner from the doorway, and called out, Bai Tsong. Bai Tsong looked up, saw Liao Haomiao, and was stunned for a moment. Liao Haomiao pointed outside the door and said, Tang Ji is looking for you. When Bai Tsong heard the name Tang Ji, his eyes widened instantly, filled with disbelief. Then, without even thinking, he shot up from his seat and dashed out. He was in such a hurry that he tripped on a table leg and almost fell flat on his face. Even so, he didn't dare to slow down, stumbling as he rushed out, afraid of being too slow. The people in the classroom fell silent, staring dumbfounded at the running Bai Tsong, somewhat in disbelief. Bai Tsong was considered the most handsome in the class. On the day he transferred, he received a lot of attention from the girls. However, Bai Baitsong's coldness had deterred many. They all thought Baitsong was a very aloof type, that ordinary people couldn't catch his eye. But this didn't look like aloofness at all. The contrast was too great. Who's Tang Ji? His girlfriend? I don't know. Even if she was his girlfriend, he wouldn't act like this, would he? Liao Haomiao was also startled and dodged to the side. He didn't know what was wrong with Baitsong. Wasn't it just Tang Ji calling him out? Was it necessary to be this excited? Could it be that Baitsong liked Tang Ji? Was that why he was so eager? No. Liao Haomiao then thought of a problem. Did Tang Ji know Baitsong? And Baitsong knew Tang Ji? How did he not know? Did Zhou Heng tell him? Sister Tang. When Baitsong saw Tang Ji, he immediately rushed over and stood in front of her, completely ignoring Yu Lingxue behind him. This really pissed Yu Lingxue off. In the past, he would at least frown and glare at her. But now he didn't even look? Was he not taking her seriously? Not putting her in his eyes? Sister Tang. What's up? Baitsong stood in front of Tang Ji, calling her Sister Tang, with every breath, almost more affectionately than a real sister. The smile on his face didn't look fake at all. Tang Ji looked him up and down and said with some wonder, "Whoa, your recovery ability is quite good. You're already up and about today." Tang Ji remembered that last night Baitsong looked like he was about to die, and today he had recovered like this. She originally thought he was just good at taking a beating, but she didn't expect his recovery ability to be so strong. He looked like a fragile, pretty boy vase, but was actually a frontline tank. It's nothing. I was fine after a night's sleep. I knew Sister Tang wasn't going for the kill. Baitsong patted his chest and said with a laugh. Nonsense. Tang Ji rolled her eyes at him. No matter what, she couldn't have gone for the kill. But the fact that he said he was fine after a night's sleep was truly impressive. Tang Ji could see now that Baitsong seemed to have been tamed quite well. Perhaps it was because she had beaten him up last night. It seemed Baitsong was the type who responded to force, not persuasion. To tame him well, all she needed to do was beat him up like yesterday. And Yu Lingxue seemed to be a different type from Baitsong, probably responding to persuasion, not force. Today she was a bit forceful, and on the surface she seemed quite obedient, but it was merely out of fear, not genuine submission. A few days ago, when she was nicer to her, taking her to school and thinking of her during meals, her attitude was clearly better than now. It's nothing, just came to return your cup. Tang Ji handed back the cup Baitsong had used to make tea for her in the morning. After Baitsong took it, he said softly, "There's no need for Sister Tang to deliver it personally. You could just throw it away after drinking. I could bring a new one every day." Tang Ji glared at him, her voice low but carrying a sense of authority. "Wasting is shameful." Okay. Baitsong nodded dazedly, looking very obedient. "Go back." "Okay." After sending Baitsong back, Tang Ji turned and left. Yu Lingxue followed behind, her heart also relieved to know that Tang Ji and Baitsong hadn't discussed anything too important. Just then, Tang Ji suddenly turned around, holding a lollipop, and handed it to Yu Lingxue. "Want one?" Yu Lingxue was stunned for a few seconds before cautiously taking it. Thank you. I'm going to buy something to eat. Come with me." Okay. Tang Ji walked in front, clearly feeling a slight change in Yu Lingxue's state. Tang Ji thought to herself, "It's not as hard as I imagined." Min Gran came out of the kitchen with a plate of cut fruit and placed it on the table. Zhou Heng was buried in his studies, extremely focused, almost completely immersed in it. Min Gran habitually massaged Zhou Heng's shoulders and whispered in his ear, "Take a break, you've been so tired lately." Zhou Heng gently held Min Gran's hand and replied, "I can't. The college entrance exam is almost here. If I don't hurry, I'm really afraid I won't get into your university." "That's true. But," Min Gran pursed her lips, her eyes revealing her heartache for Zhou Heng. At this point, there were only about 2 weeks left until the college entrance exam. The final days of senior year passed quickly, with everyone busy studying and nothing much happening day to day. They no longer went out on weekends, choosing to study at home instead. Zhou Heng and Min Gran hadn't seen Zhu Tao for several months. Not just them, but Liao Haomiao was the same, missing Zhu Tao terribly. They would occasionally chat on their phones, all about how they would get together and have fun after the exams, full of anticipation. In the blink of an eye, time had passed so quickly. The college entrance exam was just around the corner. Zhou Heng looked up at the time. It was already late. Even though he started studying immediately after getting home, and even studied during meals, he still felt that time passed quickly. "Forget it, I'll take a break." Zhou Heng put down his pen, leaned back in his chair, tilted his head back, and sighed at the ceiling. He pinched his arm, touched his stomach, and muttered helplessly, "After the exam, I have to get back to training quickly. I feel like I've been losing muscle lately, sigh. Min Gran sat down next to Zhou Heng and said, after the exam, shouldn't you be playing games? You haven't played in so long. Yeah, Tang Ji has been managing my account. Speaking of Tang Ji, Zhou Heng suddenly sat up straight and looked at Min Gran. After a few seconds of staring at each other, Min Gran slowly spoke. You mean about her 2 followers? I don't know what's going on. That Yu Lingxue and Bai Tsong seem to have accepted her as their big sister, completely obedient to her. Growing up, there have been quite a few who wanted to see Tang Ji as their boss, but she never paid them any attention. Why is she getting involved in this kind of thing now? Zhou Heng couldn't understand it at all. During this time, Tang Ji had been increasingly nice to him and Min Gran, but he hadn't paid much attention to it, just thinking that his relationship with Tang Ji had gotten better. The main thing was that their relationship was already very good, so he didn't pay too much mind. It was Yu Lingxue and Bai Tsong who were truly surprising. Every morning, either Yu Lingxue or Bai Tsong would be carrying Tang Ji's bag and lunchbox, as if they were taking turns. They weren't quite servants, but more like lackeys. In the past, when this happened, Tang Ji would be particularly disgusted and wouldn't even allow them to do so. But now, Tang Ji seemed to be enjoying it, and the other 2 didn't care about the strange looks from others. It seemed that because of this, Tang Ji had even been called in to talk with their homeroom teacher, Mr. Wang, several times. He was worried Tang Ji was starting to go down the wrong path, getting involved in gangster-like behavior. But after a few talks, he found that Tang Ji hadn't changed much. Min Gran suddenly thought of something and said, do you think Tang Ji is doing it on purpose? Darling, do you remember when Yu Lingxue and Bai Tsong first transferred? They seemed to be trying to get close to you, but Tang Ji seems to have diverted their attention to herself. Zhou Heng thought for a while, nodded, and said, That seems to make sense. At least with Tang Ji around, those 2 rarely bother us. Otherwise, when we went to school before, there would be several people waiting for us as soon as we left the house. That must be it. Anyway, Tang Ji definitely knows what she's doing. She wouldn't do something meaningless. She must be trying to help you solve these troubles so you can focus on your studies. That's also possible. Min Gran smiled and said, it feels like she's your secretary, very capable, helping you handle many things without you even realizing it, paving the way for you. Zhou Heng leaned back in his chair, looked at the ceiling, and the image of Tang Ji's face appeared in his mind. He murmured, it's true. In the future, any boss who can hire someone like Tang Ji as a secretary would be really lucky. It would save so much effort and worry. Min Gran stood up, sat on Zhou Heng's lap, and her long fingers gently traced across Zhou Heng's cheek, down to his neck. All right, stop thinking. You can study again tomorrow. Let's go to bed, okay? Zhou Heng looked at Min Gran's seductive state, which she only ever showed to him, and his heart pounded. He scooped Min Gran up in his arms and turned towards the bedroom. Min Gran snuggled against Zhou Heng's chest, a smile on her face. The time she looked forward to most each day was sleeping with Zhou Heng at night. They could be close together, feeling each other's warmth, each other's heartbeat. It felt like only at that time did they completely belong to each other. Do you remember our agreement from before? Zhou Heng suddenly said, causing Min Gran's small face to blush crimson. She understood his words almost instantly. Of course I remember. I've always remembered. After the exam, we can. Min Gran wrapped her arms around Zhou Heng's neck and muttered softly, feeling her face burn. This had been on both of their minds for a long time. Although they both remembered, they had never mentioned it. But the reason Zhou Heng suddenly brought it up today was because he had recently felt a subtle change in how Min Gran treated him. Before, probably to let him focus on his studies, Min Gran rarely had physical contact with him. It was just holding hands every day and hugging at night. Kisses were only once every few days. But now, with only a few days left until the exam and their agreed-upon time approaching, Min Gran seemed unable to hold back. The frequency of her kisses had increased, and there was more physical contact. Whenever she had the chance, she seemed to want to stick to him. For example, sitting on his lap and showing her seductive side was something Zhou Heng had only recently experienced, and he had been enduring it. And while Min Gran was doing it on purpose, she had her reasons. She had always remembered, but she didn't know if Zhou Heng still remembered the agreement. With that day approaching, she wanted to use this method to remind him. Now, hearing Zhou Heng bring it up himself, she was very happy. In a private room of a restaurant, 2 people sat quietly. These 2 were Yu Lingxue and Bai Tsong. They sat as if they didn't know each other at the farthest possible distance, both playing on their phones. The table was already laid out with delicious food, but neither of them had touched their chopsticks, as if they were waiting for someone. After a while, the door to the private room was suddenly opened, causing both of them to look up at the same time. The figure of Tang Ji appeared at the doorway. She was dressed all in black, which, combined with her expressionless face, made her seem exceptionally cold. Her appearance made Yu Lingxue and Bai Cong stand up from their seats as if by reflex. They rushed over, one pulling out a chair for Tang Ji, while the other poured her tea. It was as if this was a long-accustomed behavior for them, done very naturally and just right. Tang Ji sat down and said faintly, "Sit. Let's talk." The two of them sat down in their respective seats, quietly waiting for Tang Ji to speak. Tang Ji took a sip of tea and said, "For the time being, keep a low profile. Just your own things. Don't bother me for now. It's time to get serious about preparing for the exams." Yu Lingxue and Bai Cong were slightly taken aback, then nodded in unison, responding, "Understood. You too. Are you also going to Dongzhi University? Otherwise, how would you continue to get close to Zhou? Are you sure you can get in? It shouldn't be a big problem." Yu Lingxue and Bai Cong glanced at each other. Although their eyes showed confidence, they did not give a direct affirmative answer. Their grades were not a major issue, but they were afraid of accidents. Their past education had taught them not to do things they weren't sure of and to eliminate all risks. Tang Ji put down her teacup, propped her elbows on the table, and looked at the two with a sharp gaze, making them flinch with nervousness. Now, when facing Tang Ji, they had both respect and fear. At first, it was because of Tang Ji's status, but gradually, they no longer cared about that. That point was not important at all. What was more important was that Tang Ji could truly crush them in every aspect. Every time, they were completely suppressed by Tang Ji, unable to win in any aspect, as if everything was under her control. They had been studying in places that cultivated elites since they were young. Even if they weren't the most outstanding, they were more than a match for ordinary high school students. But they never expected to be so thoroughly crushed by a genius like Tang Ji, with no chance of turning the tables. This made them admire Tang Ji from the bottom of their hearts, for reasons other than her background, but purely because Tang Ji was too outstanding. Tang Ji was silent for a few seconds. During this time, neither of them dared to breathe loudly. After a while, Tang Ji finally spoke slowly. "Tell me the inside information you know about Zhou. Don't hide anything. I'm doing this for your own good." "Oh, we know very little." Bai Cong stammered and looked at Yu Lingxue, seeming to pass the buck to her. Yu Lingxue bit her lip, not knowing whether to speak or not. But seeing Tang Ji's gaze, she had no choice but to say, "I only know that when Zhou gets to university, he won't need to choose a major or anything. There will be a dedicated mentor, just for him, who will teach him all the knowledge required to inherit the company within a few years." Tang Ji frowned slightly and nodded. "I see. So it could be like that. Hey, I thought of a problem." Tang Ji seemed to have thought of something, looked up at the two of them, and continued. "You said a long time ago that Zhou is the heir. We won't discuss whether this information is reliable for now. I want to ask, what if Zhou himself refuses to be the heir? Wouldn't all your time and effort be wasted?" Tang Ji's words made both Yu Lingxue and Bai Cong freeze. We haven't thought about that. But no one would be stupid enough to refuse, right? They couldn't believe anyone would refuse such an opportunity. But Tang Ji shook her head and said, "That man isn't necessarily like that. What if he has a whim?" The three of them had a simple meal together and chatted a lot more before Tang Ji prepared to go home. Yu Lingxue and Bai Cong saw Tang Ji off, watching her get into a car before they relaxed. "Hey, Yu Lingxue." "What?" Yu Lingxue turned her head to look at Bai Cong, a little puzzled. Bai Cong watched Tang Ji's car gradually disappear until he could no longer see the taillights. Then he slowly spoke, "I've realized a very important problem." "What?" "The purpose of all this is to get close to Zhou and be on good terms with him, right? So that we might become his secretary in the future." "Yes, so. We've overlooked one point. We always thought the other person was the biggest enemy. But what do you think? Is it possible?" Bai Cong's gaze was fixed on the distance. His eyes narrowed, his brows slightly furrowed, looking particularly serious. Yu Lingxue was stunned for a long time, then suddenly imagined something, her eyes widening as she whispered, "Are you saying Tang Ji is her goal also to be Zhou Heng's secretary?" "I just think it's a possibility. If our competitor is Tang Ji, then we have no chance of winning at all. We can just announce our withdrawal now." Bai Cong shook his head. He had overlooked this problem all along, but now he suddenly remembered that Tang Ji had never said she wasn't competing. If they became competitors with Tang Ji, there was no way to play. Tang Ji would kill the competition right away, not giving them any breathing room. I don't think so. With Tang Ji's abilities, I feel she would have better options. Although this secretary position is already extremely rare, I just have a feeling Tang Ji could go even higher. Yuling Xue was also a bit unconfident now. The main thing was that Tang Ji was just too outstanding. If her goal was this position, then she and Bai Tsang might as well not even play. Bai Tsang bit his lip. He understood this reasoning, but this worry had suddenly popped up. And this was the only position Zhou Hong could decide on his own. Other positions couldn't be filled through connections. It was a firm rule, unless the board of directors voted, which was a hopeless prospect. He turned to look at Yu Lingxue, his face full of sorrow, and muttered, "What do we do?" Yu Lingxue shook her head. "I don't know." "All right, on to the next question." Just as Yin Gran flipped to the next page, she heard the sound of soft snores. She put down her book and looked at Zhou Hong, only to find it already slumped over on the desk, fast asleep. There were faint dark circles under Zhou Heng's eyes, a clear sign of how exhausted he was. Yin Gran sighed, picked up the blanket she had prepared earlier, and draped it over Zhou Heng's body. Then, she reached out, gently stroking Zhou Heng's cheek, her lips pursed and her eyes full of heartache. This wasn't the first time Zhou Hong had been so tired that he'd fallen asleep. It had been like this for the past few days. Because the Gaokao was just around the corner, he had been pushing himself as if his life depended on it. All Yin Gran could do was help him to the best of her ability. There was nothing else she could do. Seeing the one she loved so exhausted was a torment for her as well. She had already made up her mind. If Zhou Hong didn't get into Dongji University, she wouldn't go either. She would go wherever Zhou Hong went. Even if it meant not going to university, getting a job, cooking, and doing chores at home, that would be fine as long as she could be with Zhou Hong. It wasn't that she lacked ambition or didn't want to work hard. It was just that compared to her own life, she cared more about Zhou Hong. Yin Gran also slowly rested her head on the table, turning her cheek to gaze at Zhou Heng's sleeping face, a smile occasionally gracing her lips. High school is almost over. In a few more months, we'll have been together for almost a year. Yin Gran murmured softly, the sweetness and happiness on her lips impossible to hide. Knock, knock. Just then a light knock suddenly sounded on the main door. Yin Gran jumped, sitting up instantly, her eyes wide with surprise. Buzz, buzz. At the same time, her phone vibrated with a new message. She picked it up and saw it was from Zhou Heng's mother, Lu Wei. "Sweetie, are you asleep? Open the door." Imengran's eyes widened. She quickly got up and, with steps that were fast yet light, went to the door and opened it. Standing at the entrance was none other than Lu Wei. Upon seeing Imengran, she waved and smiled. "Hi, I'm not interrupting, am I? Ma, why are you here? Please come in." Imengran got a pair of slippers and let Lu Wei in. The moment Lu Wei stepped inside, she saw Zhou Hong sleeping at the table. She paused for a moment, then smiled and shook her head with a look of resignation. That's one of the great things about Zhou Hong. When he wants to do something, he makes sure to get it done, no matter how difficult or tiring it is. His father and I both love that about him. Lu Wei sat down on a nearby sofa, her eyes fixed on the sleeping Zhou Hong, and couldn't help but smile, as if with a sense of pride. Yin Gran quickly poured Lu Wei a glass of water and placed it on the coffee table in front of her. Lu Wei smiled, picked up the water, took a sip, and said to Yin Gran, "I came to cheer you two on. Besides, tomorrow is the last day, and Zhou Hong will definitely be studying desperately from morning till night. We can't have that. You need to rest well on the last day to get in the right state of mind. I know you can't manage him, so I came." "Really?" Imengran's eyes lit up. This was the very thing she had been worrying about. How to persuade Zhou Hong to rest well tomorrow. No matter how she thought about it, she felt she couldn't stop him. Now, her mother-in-law's arrival was undoubtedly a shot in the arm, banishing her worries. "That's wonderful, Mom. I was just worrying about that. Because no matter what I say, I definitely can't convince Zhou Hong." Yin Gran clasped her hands together, expressing her gratitude to Lu Wei. It felt like she had arrived at the perfect time. "I know him all too well. It's fine, don't you worry. I'll take you two out tomorrow to walk around and clear your minds." Lu Wei gently patted Imengran's shoulder, then looked at the still sleeping Zhou Hong and said, "Wake him up. You two go sleep in the bedroom. Don't sleep here. You'll catch a cold." "Okay, sure." Imengran turned, walked over to Zhou Hong, and gently patted his back. "Darling, Zhou Hong. Wake up. Let's go to the bedroom to sleep." "NGH." Zhou Hong grunted and slowly opened his eyes, looking extremely tired. He yawned and slowly turned his gaze to Imengran beside him. His vision was still a little blurry from just waking up. He looked at Imengran's face, and even after all this time, No matter when he saw her, he would always find her beautiful and charming. Zhou Heng puckered his lips and closed his eyes. Baby, want a kiss? Mingran's face turned red at a speed visible to the naked eye. She covered her face, cautiously glancing over at Lu Wei. Zhou, TSK, Mom. Mingran bit her lip, her eyes darting towards Lu Wei, as if trying to give Zhou Heng a hint. HM, what's wrong, baby? What do you mean by calling me Mom? Is this some kind of new game? Lu Wei crossed her arms, tilted her head, and after a moment's pause, she let out a huff of laughter, then burst out laughing, covering her mouth. Hearing a voice different from Mingran's, Zhou Heng's eyes shot open, and he was instantly wide awake. He slowly turned his head towards the sofa, and the sight of his mother sitting there was a scene he would probably remember for the rest of his life. Zhou Heng seemed to freeze, not speaking, not moving. The next second, like a robot, he slowly lowered his head back onto the desk and closed his eyes, as if everything that just happened had never occurred. It looked like he was pretending to be asleep, but in reality, he had probably died a little inside. Mingran was also blushing to the roots of her ears. Being seen in this situation by his mother was just too embarrassing. Oh my, I didn't see anything, I didn't hear anything, and I don't remember anything. Lu Wei stood up, muttering to herself, then slowly walked towards the other bedroom and closed the door. After Mingran saw Lu Wei go into the bedroom, she looked at Zhou Heng, who was still slumped on the table, only to find him with his eyes open, staring at her. Mingran froze for a moment, then whispered, Darling, this is the first time I've ever seen you blush. All right, darling, it's okay. That night, Mingran gently patted Zhou Heng, who was hiding under the covers, and spoke in a soft, gentle voice. Although she said this, she couldn't suppress the upward curve of her lips. She just found Zhou Heng at this moment to be especially cute. She had never seen him like this before. Right now, all she wanted to do was hug him and dote on him. Zhou Heng held the blanket tightly, not leaving a single gap. Hearing Mingran's words, he quieted down and lay perfectly still. Mingran gently shook the blanket and hummed softly. It's all right. It was just in front of Mom. We're all family, it's fine. Just then, a gap opened in Zhou Heng's blanket. When Mingran saw it, she paused, then tentatively reached her hand inside. The next second, she was pulled directly into the blanket, letting out a startled cry. Before she could react, she felt Zhou Heng's firm arms wrapped tightly around her. Mingran pressed her lips together, reached out, and hugged Zhou Heng back. It was quite warm under the covers, but neither of them was willing to let go. They just wanted to hold each other like this forever. After a while, Zhou Heng fell asleep. He was, after all, very tired. Mingran lifted the cover, letting Zhou Heng's head poke out. She looked at his sleeping face and then planted a light kiss on his cheek. Good night, love you. For those about to take the Gaokao, sleep was hard to come by these few days. Some even sacrificed their sleep time for a final sprint. Even Tangji had asked for leave from her game guild's leader a week in advance, staying offline until after the Gaokao, giving up all her gaming time. Soon, it was the final day before the Gaokao. On this day, most people would choose to relax, prepare everything needed for the exam, and adjust their mindset. When Mingran woke up, she found that Zhou Heng was still asleep, so she decided to let him sleep a little longer, tiptoeing as she got out of bed. After leaving the room, she found that Lu Wei was already awake, sitting on the sofa working. On the coffee table was a laptop with a cup of hot coffee beside it. Mom, good morning. Mingran walked over and greeted her softly. Only then did Lu Wei notice Mingran. She looked up and smiled. Morning to you. Why are you up so early? Why not sleep a little longer? I didn't know what time you'd be up, so I thought I'd get up early to make breakfast. I didn't expect you to be up even earlier. No need. You and Zhou Heng just relax today. I've already had someone prepare food. It will be delivered soon. You should go back and get some more sleep. Lu Wei waved her hand, signaling for Mingran not to bother. After all, the exam was tomorrow, so they definitely needed to rest well and build up their energy. It was best not to do or think about anything. I see. Then, Mingran's eyes darted around, looking for something she could do, but it seemed there was nothing. Even if she offered to give her mother-in-law a massage now, she probably wouldn't be allowed to. Lu Wei saw right through Mingran's state and said with a smile, All right, my good girl, go back and rest. Get a good score tomorrow. Okay, Mom. Mingran didn't say any more and returned to the bedroom, planning to go back to sleep for a bit. Meanwhile, in the apartment next door, Yuling Xue had been up early. She had received a very important message last night that had kept her from sleeping well. She had woken up early to get ready, completely shedding her student-like aura. Her hair was tied up, She wore a very formal outfit, and her face was adorned with light, exquisite makeup. Even so, she was still nervous. Oh, after getting everything ready, Yulingxue prepared to leave. First, she opened the door a tiny crack and listened to the sounds outside. After confirming it was safe, she opened the door. She was wearing high heels and only dared to lift and place her feet lightly. Otherwise, the sound would be very loud. She was especially careful when passing Zhou Heng's door, afraid of making any noise. It wasn't until she was in the elevator that she finally breathed a sigh of relief. Just as the elevator doors opened, Yulingxue saw several people in chef's uniforms standing at the entrance. Each was pushing a cart laden with many dishes, though they were all covered, so she couldn't see what they were. Yulingxue found it strange, but didn't pay it much mind. Her main priority, right now, was to adjust her own state of mind to face what was about to happen. Yulingxue left the building, got in a car, and headed downtown. She arrived at a high-end restaurant. It was still early, so there weren't many people. Quiet music played inside, and only the waitstaff were cleaning. Yulingxue walked in, and a waiter immediately came up to greet her. "Hello, do you have a reservation?" Yulingxue opened her mouth slowly and replied, "I'm here to see President Yu." "Very well, please follow me." Yulingxue followed the waiter to a private room upstairs. Standing at the door, Yulingxue took a deep breath before knocking lightly. "Knock, knock. Enter." A robust male voice came from inside. Yulingxue slowly opened the door and walked in. Inside the private room sat a man. His appearance, posture, and aura were all incredibly imposing. He sat there, holding a cigar, staring straight at the newly entered Yulingxue. Yulingxue walked forward, stood before the man, and bowed slightly. "Father, I'm late." The man before her was her father, Yuinghai. Yuinghai nodded, responding with a simple then pointed to the seat across the table. Yulingxue sat down, her posture perfectly straight, not daring to be neglectful in the slightest. Normally, she shouldn't be nervous. While her father was imposing, he wasn't that terrifying. She was nervous because the task her father had given her was not yet complete. "How are things?" Yuinghai suddenly spoke, making Yulingxue jolt. As expected, what was coming had come. "Father, please give me a little more time." "There is time, of course. University is still several years away. However, it's been so long, and if there's still no progress, what difference will a few more years make?" Yulingxue lowered her head, biting her lip, unable to refute. A whole semester of her final year of high school had passed, and indeed, she had made no progress with Zhou Heng. They couldn't even be considered friends, just classmates. "Oh, Yuinghai exhaled a puff of smoke, then stubbed out his cigar in the ashtray. His eyes fixed on Yulingxue across from him as he slowly said, "You are a woman. He is a man. Do I really have to teach you this?" Yulingxue was truly stunned, her brain momentarily unable to process what her father meant. A woman. A man. Father. You mean? Yulingxue felt a cold sweat about to break out. She could already guess what her father was implying. Yuinghai crossed his hands, turned to look out the window, and said in a heavy voice, "Set your sights higher. You and Bai Tsang are always competing for the president's secretary position, but your ceiling is higher. You could." Yuinghai looked at Yulingxue, his gaze locking onto her, and continued, "Aim for something higher, for example, the position of the president's wife." Yulingxue secretly gasped, her eyes wide with shock. Her face was a canvas of astonishment. She had never even considered such a thing. Even the position of president's secretary felt like a long shot to her. The president's wife. That was too. But, "Father, Zhou Heng has a girlfriend. They are on very good terms." The image of Yin Minggran appeared in Yulingxue's mind. No matter what, Yin Minggran had been very good to her. Moreover, Zhou Heng and Yin Minggran's relationship was so strong it was flawless, allowing no one to wedge themselves in. The girls in their class couldn't even speak to Zhou Heng. If they so much as looked at him for too long, they would be glared back at by Yin Minggran with a particularly fierce look. As for Yin Minggran, because she was the class monitor, she couldn't avoid interacting with classmates, but afterwards, she would always take the initiative to report back to Zhou Heng, being considerate of his feelings and giving him no opportunity to get jealous or upset. That's why Zhou Heng had never been angry over such things. On the contrary, he grew to like Yin Minggran more and more. How could Yuinghai not know of Yin Minggran's existence? But to him, that was no problem at all. Just a girlfriend, they're not married. Isn't it normal for young people to break up and get back together? As long as they aren't a legally married couple, you have a chance. Yulingxue's emotions were a bit stirred up. She stood up abruptly and said, "No, father, you don't understand. I really don't have any chance. Their relationship is so tight, you couldn't fit a grain of sand in it. As for cultivating a relationship." Yuling Xue saw her father's sharp gaze, which made her swallow the rest of her words, not daring to say anything more. "Who said you had to cultivate a relationship slowly?" "Huh? Then, what do you mean?" Yu Inghai snorted. Then, from his pocket, he took out an object and threw it in front of Yuling Xue. Yuling Xue looked down and saw that it was a box of unknown medicine. The writing was all in English, but no matter how naive Yuling Xue was, there was no way she wouldn't know what this was. The easiest way to tie a man down is to make him take responsibility. Thump thump. Yuling Xue's eyes were fixed on the box of medicine on the table, her heart pounding uncontrollably to the point where her vision was starting to blur. She slowly raised her head, feeling her throat go dry, and stammered, "Father, this isn't right. What? Are you unwilling? You don't like him?" "Father, it's not a matter of liking him or not. After all, I'm not familiar with him. Besides, he has a girlfriend. If I still like him, isn't that a bit? Let's not talk about liking him for now. Don't you admire him? As President Zhou's son, he should be quite outstanding, right?" "That, of course. I admire him." Yu Inghai nodded and said, "Then that's enough. Feelings can be cultivated slowly. As long as you succeed, not only you, but also father and our entire family will have our fates changed. You will be the hero of it all. You will become my pride and the pride of your beloved grandparents." "Grandpa and Grandma." Yuling Xue's hands clenched tightly, wrinkling her pants, her heart in a state of repeated turmoil. In that moment, she seemed to be enduring immense torture. Yu Inghai stood up, slowly walked to the window, his hand behind his back, and said softly, "How many people in this world yearn for an opportunity like this, willing to sacrifice so much for it? Dignity, friendship, even family. After all, this is a chance that affects a lifetime. You don't need to sacrifice that much. Right now, this opportunity is right in front of you." After speaking, Yu Inghai turned his head, a pair of ice-cold eyes staring intently at Yuling Xue, as if he would not tolerate any opposition. Yuling Xue kept her head down, biting her lip so hard it almost bled. "And your mother?" "Tisk. Father, I'll be going now. The exam is tomorrow. I need to go back and study." Yuling Xue stood up, interrupting her father, and was about to walk out. But after just 2 steps, she stopped, not moving, not looking back, as if hesitating and thinking. After a few seconds, Yuling Xue reached out, clutched the medicine from the table tightly in her palm, and walked out. Seeing this, Yu Inghai revealed a satisfied smile and nodded silently. Yuling Xue's steps were quick, as if she were in a hurry. The sound of her high heels clattered, but once she was out of the restaurant, her pace slowed. She wasn't in a hurry to get anywhere. She was in a hurry to leave that place. She felt her mind was a mess, her head was blank, and her thoughts were in complete chaos. She wandered alone on the street, her head down, looking burdened with troubles. Before she knew it, she had walked to the city center. People came and went on the street, occasionally looking at her, but she never raised her head. Carelessly, the heel of Yuling Xue's shoe got stuck in a crack, causing her to twist her ankle. "Issa!" She immediately squatted down in pain, frowning, and reached out to clutch the twisted spot. Although this was a pain she could normally endure, for some reason, tears began to stream from her eyes. Teardrops rolled from her eyes one by one, dripping onto the ground. She limped to the side of the road and sat down, letting her neatly pinned hair fall loose. Finally, she buried her head and began to cry with muffled sobs. She didn't know what was wrong with her, whether she was crying from the pain, from some grievance, or from a heavy heart. Or perhaps it was all of those things. "What's wrong? Young lady, why are you crying here all by yourself?" Just then, Yuling Xue heard a particularly gentle voice. She slowly raised her head and looked ahead. The person before her made her pause slightly, and she couldn't help but say, "So beautiful. Haha, you're such a sweet talker, young lady. Come, wipe your tears. Such a pretty face, don't cry." The person in front of her squatted down, took a tissue from her bag, and gently helped Yuling Xue wipe away her tears. Yuling Xue's lips quivered. She hadn't expected the gentleness of a stranger to move her so much, making her want to cry even more. "Thank you, sister." "Sister? Haha, my son is the same age as you. Just call me Annie Lu." A slight smile played on Lu Wei's lips as she wiped Yuling Xue's tears clean. "But you really have so much class, and you look so young. You don't look like an Annie at all. Oh my, you have such a sweet mouth, young lady. As it happens, I'm waiting for my son and his friends. Tell Auntie, why are you crying here all by yourself?" You're dressed so nicely, it's a shame to cry. Lu Wei didn't care about the dirt at all and sat right down next to Yu Lingxue, smiling at her. Yu Lingxue shouldn't have been telling a stranger her problems, but Lu Wei gave her a very kind and approachable feeling. In their first meeting, she already felt her gentleness. My situation is rather special. My family is forcing me to make a decision I don't like, and it will affect my entire life. I see. Lu Wei nodded, listening quietly to Yu Lingxue. After a moment, Lu Wei spoke. Well, no matter what, you should just do what you think is right. That's easy to say, but Lu Wei looked up at the sky and said softly, my son is the same way. He never follows the path his father and I planned for him. We had it all arranged, but he just wouldn't listen. He's addicted to games, which he gets from his father. His grades kept slipping. Fortunately, he's motivated now, thanks to a certain treasure. Ever since I knew he could take care of himself, I haven't forced him to make any decisions. After speaking, Lu Wei turned to look at Yu Lingxue, reached out to pat her shoulder, and continued. Your family must feel that you still need their care, that you need their help. That's why they're like this. So, you just have to prove to them that you can take care of yourself, that you have the ability to decide your own life. If you do that, they should change their minds. Yu Lingxue pursed her lips. After hearing Lu Wei's words, she nodded, as if she understood something. After a long silence, she looked at Lu Wei and said, I understand now, Auntie Lu. Thank you. Yu Lingxue gritted her teeth and managed to stand up. Lu Wei just watched with a smile, not offering to help. You can do it. No matter what you're facing, just try your best. You don't need to rush to prove yourself. Your family will see your abilities one day. Okay. Yu Lingxue nodded emphatically, a smile appearing on her lips. She wiped away the last tear from the corner of her eye and left, her steps faltering but unable to stop her from moving forward. Lu Wei watched her departing figure, smiling as she sent her off. Mom, what are you doing sitting on the ground? Just then, a voice came from behind Lu Wei. She turned her head and saw Zhou Heng, Yin Minggran, and Tang Ji walking back, carrying bags. Oh, I was just chatting with a young lady. Lu Wei started to get up from the ground. Yin Minggran quickly ran over and helped Lu Wei up. Then, she took out a bag and handed it to Lu Wei. Mom, this is for you. Oh my. Thank you, sweetie. Lu Wei took the bag in surprise and kissed Yin Minggran on the forehead, her eyes full of affection. Yin Minggran grinned, scratching her head, her heart blooming with joy. Come on, I'll take you guys out to have some fun. Let's put these things in the car first. Okay. Lu Wei took the three of them out for a whole day of fun. It wasn't until dinner time that she dropped them off at their respective homes. After all, they had an exam tomorrow. A day of fun to relax and adjust their mindset was enough. They couldn't let their hearts run wild or get too tired. Ample sleep and rest were also very important. Good luck on your exams. After they're over, Mom will take you out for a big feast. Lu Wei said to Zhou Heng and Yin Minggran from the car. Zhou Heng nodded and said, Don't worry, Mom. I'm in a good state. My mock exam scores were great. I don't think it'll be a problem. Mom, drive safely on your way back. I'll take good care of Zhou Heng, don't you worry. Lu Wei reached out and smilingly patted Yin Minggran's head. After saying goodbye to the two of them, she drove off. Zhou Heng and Yin Minggran watched Lu Wei's car drive away before heading upstairs. They were carrying quite a few bags. When they got home, they saw the dining table was already laden with delicious food. Lu Wei had prepared their dinner in advance. Otherwise, the two of them would have had to cook themselves. Let's eat. Then I'll study for a bit, and we can go to bed early. Zhou Heng washed his hands and sat down at the table, ready to eat. Just then, Yin Minggran stopped him and said, we can't eat all of this. Let's ask Yu Lingxue to eat with us. She's all alone. It'll save her the trouble of cooking and cleaning. She has the exam tomorrow, too. Ah, sure. I have no objections. Zhou Heng put down his chopsticks and nodded, agreeing with Yin Minggran's idea. Afterwards, Yin Minggran went out and knocked on the door next door. Yu Lingxue, are you home? After about 10 seconds, the door opened. When Yin Minggran saw Yu Lingxue inside, her eyes first fell on her ankle, which was wrapped in gauze. It's class monitor. What's up? When Yu Lingxue saw Yin Minggran, her heart skipped a beat and her hand trembled, but she still managed to smile and kept her composure. Yin Minggran frowned slightly, pointing at Yu Lingxue's ankle and asking, What happened to you? Are you hurt? I twisted it today. It's nothing. I put some medicine on it. It should be fine by tomorrow. Yu Lingxue waved her hand. It wasn't a very serious sprain anyway. A night's rest should be enough for it to mostly recover. I see. By the way, you haven't eaten yet, have you? Come eat with us. It'll save you the trouble of cooking. Go to your place. With you. And Zhou Hong. I think I'll pass. It's not convenient. I'll just order some takeout later. Why order takeout? Come on, come have a bite. It'll save you time and energy, and you can rest earlier. Min Gran directly took Yu Lingshue's arm, want to pull her next door. But when Yu Lingxue thought about facing Zhou Hong next door, her own guilty conscience made her feel uneasy. She would definitely be incredibly unnatural and strange, and her nervousness would be easily noticed. No, I'd better not. It's really not convenient. You two are having a meal. Why should I intrude? Maybe next time. Fisk, why are you being so? If you don't come, I'm telling Tangji. Hearing Tangji's name, Yu Lingxue was truly stunned. That name seemed to be etched deep in her heart. Every time she heard it, she would tremble. Seeing that it worked, Min Gran continued, hurry up and come. Otherwise, I'll call Tangji over to invite you. I reckon only she has the pull to get you to come, right? The rest of us can't. Oh, no, I'll go. Yu Lingshue's expression changed instantly. Regardless of whether Min Gran was telling the truth or not, she couldn't take the risk. If Tangji really came and found out she wouldn't give face to Zhou Hong and Min Gran, she would definitely be in for a scolding. That would be terrible. That's more like it. Let's go. Zhou Hong is still waiting. With Min Gran's help, Yu Lingxue came to their home. As soon as she walked in, Yu Lingxue couldn't help but peek inside. Her gaze met Zhou Hong's, who was sitting at the dining table. While Zhou Hong was still puzzled, Yu Lingxue immediately pulled her head back and bit her lip. Sure enough, she still couldn't look Zhou Hong straight in the eye right now. Min Gran pulled Yu Lingxue inside and said, come in. What are you thinking about? After seeing Zhou Hong, Yu Lingxue lowered her head slightly and waved a greeting. Hello, Zhou Hong. Hi, hello. Come eat while it's hot. Zhou Hong replied simply and pointed to the chair that had already been set up opposite him. Oh, okay, thank you. Yu Lingxue sat across from Zhou Hong and Min Gran. Even after the two of them started eating, Yu Lingxue hesitated to pick up her chopsticks, as if she were deliberating and worried. Eat? Why aren't you eating? Zhou Hong looked up at Yu Lingxue and said. Then, he gave Min Gran a look. Min Gran immediately understood and put some food in Yu Lingxue's bowl. It's fine. Just make yourself at home here. We're all friends. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. Besides, we're about to graduate. The exam is tomorrow. After that, I won't be your class monitor anymore. Class monitor, Yu Lingxue muttered. Looking at the food Min Gran had placed in her bowl, she fell into thought. After a while, she began to eat very slowly. Seeing that she was finally no longer so reserved, Zhou Hong and Min Gran nodded in satisfaction. Zhou Hong remembered something and turned to ask Min Gran, by the way, baby, did you say today that you're organizing a class reunion after the exams? Upon hearing this, Min Gran showed a look of exhaustion. Her shoulders slumped as she said wearily, yeah, Liao Haomiao mentioned it a few days ago. Their class has already decided on everything and asked if I'd made a decision. As the class monitor, I can't fall behind. That's true. It's good to have one last get-together. We might never see some of these people again in our lives. Zhou Hong thought back to his classmates. Although his relationship with them hadn't been very good in the first 2 years, after spending this entire final year of high school together, he found that everyone was actually quite nice. This was largely thanks to Min Gran, who had helped him get along with them. At first, he felt these people were dispensable and unimportant, but now that graduation was imminent, he was actually a little reluctant to part with them. Min Gran sighed and said, but where should we go? I haven't decided on that yet. I'll have to inform Teacher Wang later. I know a place. Just then, Yu Lingxue suddenly spoke, instantly drawing both of their gazes. My family runs a hotel. The scale is pretty good. We could go there. Although it's only about a 3-star, at least we wouldn't have to pay. Zhou Hong waved his hand and said, oh no, we should still pay. The cost for a class reunion isn't a small amount. Even if your family owns it, we can't do that. Min Gran looked surprised, leaning her head forward and asking, wow, your family is in the hotel business? Not entirely. It's just one of the things we're involved in. Yu Lingxue felt a bit awkward. She had only blurted it out, wanting to help Min Gran as a way of repaying them for inviting her to dinner. But now that she thought about it, Zhou Hong didn't know about her background. If he did, he probably wouldn't even think much of her family's hotel. Min Gran, however, was very willing. She had been worrying about where to go. Since Yu Lingxue had made the suggestion, she was of course happy. That's great. Then the food problem is solved, right? It's her own family's hotel, so we can be at ease. And we can think of it as supporting her business. I have no objections. Zhou Heng nodded in agreement. Yu Lingxue nodded happily and asked, "Okay, then I'll go back and arrange it in a bit. What day should it be? Let's set it for 2 days after the exam's end." After dinner, Yu Lingxue prepared to leave. She stood at the door, put on her shoes, and had just opened the door without taking a step when she heard Yin Min Gran call out from behind her, "Wait a minute." Yu Lingxue stopped and looked back to see Yin Min Gran walking over quickly with a small bag. "Here." Yin Min Gran took something out of the bag and handed it to Yu Lingxue. "This is a gift for you. Since we're graduating, I picked out gifts for my friends. This one is for you." Yu Lingxue looked at the item in her hand. It seemed to be a doll keychain. It was a common gift, but Yu Lingxue noticed that this doll seemed a bit special. This doll looked like a miniature version of herself. "Oh." Yu Lingxue held up the doll, her eyes fixed on it. The doll was almost a perfect likeness of her. It couldn't be a coincidence. A smile bloomed on Yin Mingran's face as she nodded. "I made it myself.